Can you buy multifamily properties without a bank, without credit, and without any of your own money? A lot of people want to get into multifamily real estate, but they're too afraid of it. They go, man, I got to go get that $10 million property. That means I got to go get a loan for $7 million, and I got to go raise $3 million in investor capital to buy that thing. Well, this playlist is going to prove all of that wrong. I have 1,500 doors in my multifamily portfolio, and all of them were purchased with Creative Finance. Now, this playlist, we've assembled our 8 best videos from this channel, and we've put them all together so that you can have a cohesive place to learn all about multifamily. And I would say the next best place, maybe even better, for you to learn multifamily real estate is coming to my multifamily challenge. I'm going to be doing live outreach to brokers, live deal structuring, live underwriting, and live capital raising. And you're going to see exactly how to find those deals, how to negotiate and structure those deals way better than you can in this YouTube video. It's amazing. What I would do is I would go down below, click the link down below, or go to thebiggestchallengeever.com, and I'll see you on the live training where you can learn how to go from A to Z through multifamily. Enjoy the video. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Peace. So when I first started trying to learn how to do multifamily underwriting years and years ago, I went on YouTube because I'm just a contractor at heart. I'm an idiot, okay? I'm not as smart as this guy right here. I've got Bo with me. And if you go to YouTube right now and you type in how to underwrite multifamily, not one single video will actually teach you how to underwrite multifamily. It's not possible. It's not there. A bunch of people, like 20 videos all stacked up. You take all of them, you watch all of those videos, you will not learn 1% of what it requires to underwrite a multifamily property. So what I'm gonna do for you guys is I'm gonna have Bo and me underwrite one of our properties that we own. Could be the RV park, could be one of the other multifamily deals that Bo's acquired. And we'll underwrite it and we'll go through Bo's process and we'll give that video away to you guys. Link in the description, okay? Now, the point of this video is because Bo and I are currently, and with Armand and with Eric, we are in Lubbock, Texas. Yesterday, we flew into Amarillo. We came to Amarillo to look at 2 properties that we own right across the street from each other. And we drove down to Lubbock last night and we visited a property this morning that I freaking love. That's a 19-unit deal downtown in Lubbock, super cute. And Bo and the team have released the entire property and it's making money and making moves, which is great. So Bo tells me, hey, I wanna go check out this other property. And that property's right here. So we're gonna go look around this property. And Bo says, hey, we could buy this. And I said, okay, great. Tell me about the deal. So Bo, tell me about this deal that we're gonna be driving around for a second. And tell me what is appealing about it first.
Okay, I think it's like 31 units. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's like 31 units, same seller as the other properties that we bought from. Ease of execution's there, it's in a, you can just tell by the area that there's been a lot of development for student housing.
Eric, what does that mean?
Ease of execution?
Yeah, so let me convert.
To get the deal done, to get it across the finish line.
This is called vocabulary, okay? So vocabulary, ease of execution, sounds like you know what he's talking about because it's English. But what he's saying is he's already had a great relationship with the seller. We've bought 4 properties from them on seller finance. So jumping into this property would be super easy because the relationship, the rapport, and more importantly, the evidence that we execute on what we say we're gonna execute is already there. So ease of execution getting into this deal is super high versus let's go knock on the door next door and build a new relationship with a seller and a broker that we don't have before. We have that going for us in our favor. Does that now make sense? Maybe. Ease of execution.
So we have ease of execution. We've got a really high leverage point. Right? Sellers are basically willing to walk away from it. But
leverage point, Eric, translation means that we don't have to put a ton of money down, okay? The seller's gonna give us really good leverage, really good debt. They're gonna let us structure in a way that we don't have to go and raise a ton of capital for this deal.
For buying it.
And that's where we're gonna get to the bad part of this. And I want people to know how we look at deals and how Bo looks at deals for the team. So really good leverage, meaning we don't have to go to a bank and put 30% down and use credit and go do all of those types of things. We could probably get into this deal for, what would you say, 10% down?
I think it was 20.
Okay, 20. They want 20% down.
Yeah, maybe it was at 15. I forgot the exact numbers. I was talking to him, maybe 4 or 6 weeks ago.
But could you talk this seller down to 10%, you think?
Probably.
Okay, so what do you think the seller's big problem is? What's their pain point?
The building's 10% occupied right now, maybe 15% occupied. They just haven't been able to lease the property. They have a property management company internally that lost the contract, and now they went out somewhere else. There's some CapEx work that needs to be done to make the units habitable, and then there's, light make-ready stuff, like a couple grand per unit. They just don't have the money to do it, so they're doing it, one by one by one by one. Leasing one, taking the money, and then going to do another one, leasing it. So they're hemorrhage money.
Okay, so ease of execution, seller would give us good leverage. We would get seller financing on the deal at a rate lower than what we could get right now at a bank. We wouldn't have to go through the whole approval process, all of those types of things. Let's say that we buy this thing, hypothetically, we buy this thing for $2 million. I know that's not the price, but let's say you buy it for $2 million, you put $200,000 down. Now you're into the deal 200 grand. Is there a broker involved in this deal that would get paid out of that 200 grand on the seller side, or would it be direct to seller?
Broker.
Okay, so broker would get paid out of that 200 grand, just for the brokers that are watching this. Now, we own the property. We have a vacant property, okay, with a payment. So that has to go into your underwriting. So how much money do you think we'd have to raise after acquisition for the CapEx?
The CapEx, the negative carry, everything, maybe 500, 400.
Okay, so 500. We would tell ourselves we'd need 400. We end up needing 500 because, renovations, contractors are slow, hard to get materials, all that kind of stuff, right? So now you've had to raise 700 grand for this deal. Do we want to stomach that 700 grand ourselves, or would we go raise money from the sub-2 community? Bo? We would probably raise money, right?
Yeah, we definitely wouldn't want to stomach it ourselves.
And then the goal would be on this particular 30 unit to refinance it as quickly as possible. Do you think we could refinance in a year or 2 years if rates come down a little bit and pull out?
Maybe 2. You need 2.
So on this particular deal, we could raise the 700 grand, 200,000 for the purchase, 500,000 for the CapEx and the carry and miscellaneous stuff. You've got $700,000. Either A, you bring in those people as equity partners, or B, you pay simple interest. That's freaking $6,000, $7,000 a month in just interest. So could you stomach that? Yeah, as long as you could get it re-leased up and you could fill it up, and you'd be able to at least cover your costs of holding that property with your underlying debt with the seller plus your carry for the 700,000 that you had to raise. Then the goal, I'm assuming the goal would go, we got to refinance this as fast as possible. Hopefully we can get the value of the property to go from 2 million to 2.6, and we could pull out $300,000 or $400,000 of that money, get more permanent financing, pay off half the private money lenders with the bank loan, and pay off the other half with maybe our own cash in a 2-year time frame.
Yeah, or lease it up, proof of concept, and exit 18 months later. Just do the last couple miles of, the sellers put several $100,000s into the property, but they're missing things that need to be done still. There's still work that needs to be done.
Would you say that they're probably the biggest challenge that they have, Bo, is their inability to raise capital to get the projects finished? Because it seems as if they're just out of money. And if they knew how to raise capital like you and I do, you'd seem like they just finished the project.
Well, they've already raised capital.
Okay, and then so they just couldn't execute.
They couldn't execute.
Got it. So that's a good lesson for you as well. If you're getting into big projects like this, people go, I'm going to start in multifamily right out of the gate. I'm like, really? Do you really want to do that? Obviously, we would want to do that deal because we could raise the capital, finish the project, execute in a way that the sellers can't currently execute. Yep. We would sell the property off in 18 to, let's say, 36 months, yep, and we could make, who knows, $500,000.
Yeah.
Okay, but why would we not want to buy the deal? What would keep us from buying the deal?
Wanting to buy something else that's better.
Got it. I mean, I think the allure of this property also is that we are already in this town. We've got how many units in this town?
31.
Okay, we've got 31 units in Lubbock already. So we would double our footprint here in Lubbock and be able to use the same property manager and be able to utilize and share resources, in that regard. And you'll have tenants that apply here that are, maybe we're full, that we can push over to the other property and vice versa. Might not be the exact demographic wanting to live here as the other one, but there might be a little bit of crossover there, and that there might be some benefit. But if you're already in town, you obviously want to expand. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. We're going to talk about where does multifamily opportunity come from, and I'm actually standing in it right now. This is kind of a quicksand, like
pit of despair. The person who installed this at one point thought, hey, I'm gonna help my tenants out by putting in a volleyball court and I'm gonna put up a volleyball net. Well, I don't see a net, and guess what? All I see is a bunch of weeds filling in this whole entire space. I've walked around talking to the tenants of this property that I'm about to take over actually with Creative Finance are really unhappy. They're unhappy with cleanliness or the lack thereof of the property. They're unhappy with the fact that the laundry rooms are disgusting. They're unhappy with the fact that there's just a bog. Look at the swing sets, right? You got swing sets here. What do I notice here also? I notice that the entire playground is completely covered with weeds. Nobody's actually taking care of it. There's no walkway that goes to the playground. The dog poop scooper thing is completely tipped over and has fallen apart. The air conditioning units, half of them are new, half of them are barely hanging on, and there's just opportunity everywhere in this building. Why? Because these are a sign of distress. This right here is a sign of distress. My landlord or the owner of this property does not actually pay attention to this property. If you don't pay attention to your property, your tenants become upset. Your tenants actually walk out and stop renting from us. The first tenant we talked to today said, I'm moving out on March 3rd. That's in about a month from now. I don't know when this video will get posted, but it doesn't really matter. I want you guys to go and watch the full interview with that tenant and listen to how I explained to the tenant how he, as a 20-year-old, should not be renting this building, but he should be owning it because of Creative Finance. But that's a whole nother interview on another day that we'll release. I'll make sure the link is down below. Come check this out. Zach, you seeing the opportunity here? You see the pain and the struggle that this landlord is obviously going through? Yeah. They put in a volleyball net because they thought it would make their tenants happy. How many years ago do you think that net was installed, and how many years have gone by since that net was even taken care of? All it now is a string. A couple of years? So if you've got years of neglect on this property, there's something going on behind the scenes, and that's where opportunity lies. Okay, come on. I want to show you a couple of things that really scare me. First and foremost, what is this? This is supposed to be a tetherball thing. I'm supposed to play tetherball right here. Where's the tetherball? This concrete is so full of dirt and sand, nobody's actually taking care of the amenities of the property. Which means the landlord's not stopping and asking the tenants, hey guys, what do you guys think is the most important thing that I could work on? Wouldn't it be smart for you guys to actually put maybe a walkway to the volleyball, maybe put a nice little swing like mulch or something here, maybe refill the mulch here? Look at this. At one point, Zach, they had mulch in here, and they've let the weeds take over the entire place where the children of the tenants are playing. So what does that tell you about the landlord? What does that tell you about the opportunity that lies here? Somebody like me comes along and actually gets boots on the ground, a good maintenance person. Here's the truth. This property is owned by a lady who is neglecting the property, and her husband is the person that's doing the maintenance. Come check this out. I think the telltale sign of this is a really obvious big sign of distress, is let's go take a look at the parking lot. And you tell me if this parking lot shows you that tenants are happy here. You got 138 units at this property. We're in Fayetteville, Louisiana, and I'm buying this property with Creative Finance. You're gonna notice a lot of interesting things. First and foremost, 30% of the maybe 50% of the cars on this side, guys, it's Sunday. People are not out at their work. This is Sunday, and over 50% of the tenants, all the parking spots, the designated parking spots, are empty. That is a sign of distress. This bush right here that's sticking up is just a bunch of sticks. Why does that bush look good, but that bush doesn't? It's because the property is being neglected. Let's look at the trash real fast, and this is probably the best part of the entire building right here. The trash bin shouldn't be over here. The trash bin should be right here, and it should be really easy for the tenants to walk right up, get into the trash can, but instead, this is what you're dealing with as a tenant. Okay, you're dealing with this. When people say, how do I find multifamily deals? Guys, this is how you find them. You drive them, you go look at these properties. This property was actually brought to me, which is pretty amazing, right? Being able to teach people all these years of how to go find these properties ultimately gave me the ability to have people bring opportunities to me. You've got all these people that are renting, and the landlord is not taking care of the property. You've got mold on the buildings. One thing that we heard from the tenants is that the tubs are not being fixed, the sinks aren't being fixed. They're actually asking what's up? I'm right, huh? Yeah. See, you've even got a tenant right there that's overhearing the conversation. The tenants are like, you're right, 100% right. The tenants are not happy in this building. The landlord is not taking care of the tenants. Therefore, half of the tenants have moved out. Anytime you go into an apartment complex where this is the parking situation, I can walk directly through the entire parking lot. Does this tell you that you have happy customers? There are no customers here. Half of the building is empty. In fact, Lydell, one of the gentlemen that we talked to, again, link to that video is in the description. Lydell gave us a whole breakdown of what's going on here. His entire side, his entire unit, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 units on this side are moving out on March 3rd. This is where opportunity lies. This is where creative finance can come in and go to that seller and say, hey, I will take over this property. I'll take over the burden. Me and my partners will come into this deal and we'll actually get it back up and going, operational, take care of the tenants, and we'll take the burden off your plate. What people don't understand is what's going on with that seller, right? I do know what's going on with the seller. I can't disclose that information outwardly, but every single time there's something like this going on, there is a seller in distress, which poses an opportunity for us. So obviously driving for deals, one of the best deals I ever found was actually looking at roofs with Google Images, literally with Google Images, and seeing that all the 41 buildings had 8 different colored roofs. What does that tell you? It tells you that the landlord is barely holding on, not even replacing all the roofs at the same time. They're just kind of hodgepodging things together. That is where opportunity lies. This property could be cash flowing $40,000, $50,000 a month after debt service is paid for. The problem is nobody's taking care of the property. You got trash all around. This is everywhere. The entire property has trash everywhere. Now, as we wrap up this video, something that was really interesting conversation today, this is actually one of the better dumpsters right here. You got dumpster lids have been sitting here for such a long time. It's pooled water. There's leaves in it. This is not something that happened today. This is happening because there's no maintenance person on site. Nobody gives a crap about these tenants. Nobody cares about their customers. It doesn't make sense to me. It does make sense to me because I've been in the business long enough to know that this is where opportunity lies, and landlords that are not taking care of their tenants are gonna lose their tenants. That is the opportunity for somebody like me to come in here. Look at this, it's a brick building. Bro, like, don't you look at this brick building and you're like, yo, the building's made of brick, so it's not gonna fall apart. You got a good roof, you got a good shell. All you need to do is take the cash flow and invest that cash flow into revitalizing the property. You do that for 6 to maybe 12 months. This property's in primo condition, but instead, look at this. These cheap ass landlords, instead of fixing the fence right here, what they did, how long do you think this has been sitting here like this? Months, right? Maybe even a year. More than a year. This is what's been going on. So guys, when you ask me a question of how do I find multifamily opportunities to buy on seller finance, this is how you find opportunities to buy properties on seller finance. You get out there, you get into the streets, you see fences falling down, you see trash scattered around, dumpsters all falling apart, you see the amenities not being utilized, and then you actually talk to the tenants. You see how quickly that happened when we were just walking by the tenants? The tenants are unhappy, okay? So that is a wonderful way to find the opportunity. Now, we are buying this property on Creative Finance. We're currently under contract, so I'm not going to disclose all the information, but we'll do a part 2 of this video. This is a property in Lafayette, Louisiana, over 100 units. I can't disclose the address today in this property walkthrough, but in part 2, once we close escrow on this, I'll give you a whole numbers breakdown as long as you guys give me a comment in the comment section and you guys like and subscribe. Please share this with a friend, and don't forget to go watch the video where the tenant and myself had a whole conversation right here on how he should have got into creative finance. We'll see you in the next video.
Hey everybody, welcome to our 160 unit seller finance deal that the Sub 2 Fund just acquired. I'm here with my partners, my friends, Ryan and Jamie. Ryan is our head of acquisitions at the Sub 2 Fund, and Jamie is our asset manager. Tons of experience, 10 times more experience than me. That's the reason why you build a fund. You assemble the Avengers of multifamily and you put them all together. We are standing at a 160 unit deal that we just acquired, and people have the opportunity, by the way, to invest and become partners with us. Just go to sub2fund.com if you guys want to invest in a deal like this with us. Why is this even a good opportunity?
Well, you know, Pace, I mean, you could literally just turn around and look. So this was a seller that owned it. He built it, right? He built it in the 80s, owned it all the way through when we bought it.
Wow, that's like 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, he owned it forever. He was doing well, right? Didn't do much because it was throwing off some money. He was happy, but he was really missing the market because we looked at it and we said, okay, well, these rents, they're a good $300-400 below market. What we need to do is we're a value add fund. So we looked, it's brown. Brown in 2020s is
outdated.
It's outdated, right? So
it's not easy to go to your residents and say, hey guys, I know this guy owned this for 50 years and didn't improve anything. but welcome to the new world. Rents are higher. We're not going to renovate. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to add rents. We can't do that, right?
Yeah, we can't do that.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about Sub 2 Fund is that community matters to us. So if we want to lift the rents, we want to improve the livability for the residents. We want to provide a better place for them to be. We want them to have better amenities, a nicer looking home, a place where they're happy to walk into every day.
Actually add value is what you're saying. So
Add value.
So when Ryan says value add, it's a value add property. Ryan found this deal through an amazing relationships he's cultivated with a broker. And the story of this deal is really interesting. I'll tell it, you fill in the gaps if you don't mind. The deal is Ryan has a great relationship with the broker. Broker says, hey, the seller's open. Ryan hits them up for seller finance. They were about to contract with us and they went a different route.
That's right.
Instead of Ryan being upset about it and groveling about it, Ryan said, hey, congratulations. If they don't perform, let us know, we're here. Guess what? They didn't perform. Ryan was there to save the day. We got under contract. What was our purchase price on this deal?
So we got into contract. It was whisper price, right? Brokers have a anticipation of value.
Okay.
It's called their whisper at 20 million. So I came in 19.5, and that's what works for our fund, right? That's the value I set at it. So came in, contracted for 19.5, and then got it under escrow and closed it.
Okay, 19.5. What did the seller want as a down payment?
So the seller wanted, basically he had some small debt in place, so we had to take care of that. That was like a 10-15% of the purchase price.
Okay.
All right. He also wanted a little bit of extra skin in the game from us, right? So this is a 35% down.
Okay,
right?
and 15% of it was basically paying off an old debt. The seller says, look, I've got an old remaining loan. Probably at some point he refinanced, pulled some cash out.
Exactly.
So he still has that debt and he goes, hey, I'm okay seller financing $15 million to you or whatever it is, but I'm not okay seller financing and letting you do sub 2 to my old debt. It would just make me feel better if you pay off the old debt and I'll seller finance the whole thing, basically a lot of it too.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
so really his portion that the seller took was probably another 15% down on top of the 15% that we paid directly towards the debt.
Right.
Cool. Did the broker get paid out of the seller side or out of our side?
So the seller took care of the broker, he paid him, and basically it was a nominal fee to them, but the big benefit to us is that seller finance.
Cool. So the goal here is obviously not to hold this and keep that loan in place. The whole goal is one of probably 3 different strategies. One would be, let's improve the property, which means improve the value.
Right.
Go to a bank, do a refinance, pull our investors' capital out, potentially keep the asset. Another asset or another strategy would be, hey, let's improve value and sell this and roll our investors into the next deal. Have we determined what that strategy is going to be yet, or we're still kind of figuring out what the market will be when we decide to make an exit?
Yeah, I think it's really critical for us to make that decision after the value add has been essentially completed. Then we can test the market to understand, okay, what makes the most sense for our fund? Do we want to refi, like you just said, repay all of our investors their capital back and have them continue in this new debt structure where they're still getting payments?
Guys, listen to this, okay? This is one of the coolest things about investing in a fund is that what Ryan just said is, how much money how much are we raising for this particular deal?
The value add is going to cost $3 million just for the value add.
So guys, we're raising $3 million just for the value add. Let's forget about the purchase price. Let's just talk about the value add. If somebody came in and let's say they write a check for 100, 200, 300, we've got investors that are writing significant size checks. I'm the largest investor, by the way. I've got over $1 million of my own personal cash because I believe in the sub 2 fund so much. So I am somebody who, let's say, invests $250,000.
Right.
That money goes into the renovation, adds value for the residents. We add, obviously, income to our bottom line. The income to our bottom line raises the value of the property. We then make a determination at that point, what do we want to do? In that strategy, what Ryan just said is maybe the interest rates are really low in, let's say, 24 months, 36 months, whatever it may be, to the point where we can refinance, pull out our investors' money, give their investment back to them, and keep them in the deal even after they got their money back?
Right. So
that's insanity.
That's
like,
the beauty
think
of the refi.
So cool.
Yeah. I mean, but also, we have the opportunity to raise the value of the property, and then if the market dictates that, hey, you know what, it's a perfect time to sell. There's others that want a more stable asset and they're gonna pay us for it.
Yep.
Well, we'll sell it to them. And then we can use everyone's capital and we can either have them reinvest in our fund, which I think a lot of people would be interested in doing that because we just
keep
gave them a
compounding.
bunch of money.
Right. And you don't want to take the tax hit necessarily, and so you'd rather just let it compound and compound and compound, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is the market determines the exit strategy based on what other, maybe a big REIT or a
Exactly.
higher level institutional buyer comes along and goes, wow, Jamie, your team, the whole asset management team did a great job cleaning this up, stabilizing, getting quality residents here, improving their way of life. We didn't want to do all of that work. So we're going to pay you a higher valuation for that property so we can avoid and skip the 3 years of the work that it takes to do that. And we'll just take over a higher performing asset at a higher price.
Yeah.
But we don't know what's going to happen there. And we also, what if interest rates go to 2%? Not saying they will. You'd probably go, guys, we should keep this thing. We can do a refinance at 2, 3, 4%, get all of our cash back, roll that into another deal, but keep the asset cash flowing for a long period of time. The market will determine what we do at that point, right?
That's right. I think one of the great things about this asset is that it was cash flowing when we acquired it. So in the first quarter, the end of 2023, we've already accumulated over $50,000 in cash that's distributable to the investors.
That's awesome.
So we're accumulating this now, and it's growing. And when we get to a point that we can send out returns, that's passive income to the investors while they're still invested.
Okay, here's a question. If I'm spending $3 million on an asset like this, the guy, the seller who sold it to us was actually doing a really good job for the most part, right? His residents are relatively happy. It seems like this happens a lot in multifamily, is that the seller that owns it for 15, 20 years is like, I'd rather pull the cash flow out than reinvest it, which is where the opportunity was for us. So we're gonna spend $3 million on the renovation here. What are the big things that we're doing at this property to add the value for these residents?
So there's a couple of things happening. Not only do you talk about adding value to the residents, but you have to look at the building itself, right? And the useful lives of the building. So although this doesn't seem like it adds value to the residents' life themselves, we did roofs, we did paint, we brought things up to compliance so that there were safety issues. So those things also add value to the property itself, the building envelopes, and then we go in and start doing things inside the person's apartment, in their home, to really make them happier and really build the community. So we're building the community for the resident, we're building the community for these buildings themselves, and we're improving the whole market that it's sitting in.
This morning when I stopped by the property, I got here a little bit early, and I spoke to 2 residents. One, younger guy, he said, I drove by this property ever since I was 3 years old, and it never changed. Yeah. And he's probably 35 years old. He's like, nothing changed at the property in 30 years. I found myself as a resident, and he goes, I welcome the increase of rent because I welcome the change. He's like, I'm happy to pay for that. I had another resident, a little bit older gentleman, his name is Ralph. Ralph was paying $600 3 years ago when he first became a resident, and he knows that his rent is being increased. Like $600 in today's market, it's
unheard of.
It's unheard of.
You can't find that.
He said that. He goes, look, while I don't love an increase of rent, the fact that you guys are going to increase the livability and the community aspect of this tells me that I'm okay with spending that extra money. Even though I'm on a fixed income, I want to have an improved life, and I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Right.
We actually have a list of residents who have asked to have their apartments renovated. Now, we're trying to add value to everyone though. So we are keeping what we're calling classic apartments at the most reasonable market rate.
Right.
Then
That's
we're
a good point though, right? Market rate?
market rate,
Right.
not
We're
below
We're
market.
not keeping the rents at what we bought them at.
We still brought it up to market.
Exactly.
Right? And what's happening is that people initially balk at that, right? And they say, I don't want to pay more. You're not giving me anything. I don't want to. And so they go out and they look at what else is out there. What else can I get for my money? First of all, they can't get anything for what they were originally paying.
Right.
And then for the same amount that we're raising that rental amount to, they're still not finding anything comparable.
Right.
And we're giving them more. So they're staying. And then there's a whole group of people asking for more. I want the full renovation. I want the top. I want to have everything you have to offer. And so we have a list, and we can't even keep up with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how long will the renovations go? Typically on a $3 million renovation, will that take a year? Will that take 2 years?
I would say 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And why would it be 2 to 3 years? Is it because we're waiting for certain residents to make a determination of whether I re-up my lease in the existing model, or I say, hey, I'm moving out, which allows us to renovate that, or B, I am extending in that model, which means you can't renovate? Are those types of things something that are at play right now?
Those things matter. So an apartment that doesn't have anybody living in it is generating vacancy, and that's vacancy loss, which means loss of revenue to your apartment, to your bottom line. So we have very high occupancy here. In fact, we just put a news article out that the Tucson MSA, the average occupancy is in the 89%. At our property right now, today, we're 96%, and we're leased to 98%.
Which means you have tenants or residents that are moving in that will bump it up. We already have commitments.
Correct.
That will bump it up to 98%.
Right. So the net present value
That's
of
probably
that,
as close to 100% as you can ever get.
pretty much, right. So the net present value of that dollar is more valuable to us than vacating the apartment, leaving it without revenue, and then doing the renovation and then bringing in another $100 or another $150. So we're doing it as people are choosing to move on somewhere else.
I love that. Okay, so the money, let's say I invest in the Sub 2 fund. I know we're going to do another video on why you should invest in the Sub 2 fund, what makes us different than other people. One, we do creative finance deals, right? The last 2 deals, seller finance, another one is assumption. We're doing creative finance deals, which is awesome. So you get to learn those things. 2, you're going to get a return. Where does the return come from? Does it come from cash flow?
Yes.
Does it come from, does the value of the property go up based on rents going up? Where do I make my money if I'm an investor?
All of those places.
All of the above. So not only are you going to get distributions as an investor from the existing and ongoing cash flow, but all of what we're doing right now is generating a higher sale price, right? So when we go to sell the property, there's going to be a big bump in the value, and that's where a big chunk of change comes back to all of our investors.
So what you're saying is multifamily is very different than single family in the sense that single family, I'm comping my value based on a house that's sold down the street, model match. In multifamily, we're valuing the property based on rent rates and my profitability.
Your income
Exactly.
potential, right?
Income potential.
Yeah, commercial
right.
real estate is all about thinking about these properties like businesses, right? When you go to buy a business, what's the most important thing? The bottom line, right? So if it's not a profitable business, no one would want it.
That's right.
So-
You have to remember on your income expense statement, the income is the single largest line on that entire statement. And all of the numbers below it don't even add up to that one line. That is the most important thing.
Right.
Right? So what we're trying to do is bring the value to maximize that line.
Yeah.
And then we mitigate the expenses below by having improved systems. New windows, lower utilities, right?
Jamie, that's a really good point, and this is something I want to bring up to Pace as well. So when we're looking at value add deals, like I just said, every property is a business. So if we're able to cut expenses, that generates higher
Yield.
available capital
Okay.
to go back to our investors. So what is something that is in the operating expenses that it's in the news, it's everywhere across the nation, everyone's being hit, especially on commercial properties, is insurance.
Oh, insurance, man.
Right? Okay, so
Getting hammered by insurance.
right. So Jamie made a good point about how the roofs, while we did the roofs and it doesn't generate higher rent, it actually does increase the value because we're able to go to our insurance carrier and say, hey, we did the roofs, we did the new windows, we improved the actual property itself, which might not give rent, but it allows us lower insurance.
Right.
So there's where part of your return comes from. If, let's say that I'm an investor, I give $100,000 to the Sub 2 fund. Jamie, you and your team go and redo the roofs for 30 grand. You spend $70,000 on maybe retarring all of the streets, whatever that may be. You have less insurance costs, which then brings the value up. Essentially, that investment brought a 10x return. I'm not saying the investor will get a 10x return, but overall, it works out to be you'll get a multiple on your money if all things go well, right?
Exactly. We have to remember there are distributions during the life of our fund, but it's a blend, right, of what you get at the end and what you're getting along the way to give you that final return.
So this is what we call IRR, right?
Exactly.
Which, like, people in the single family world or wholesalers or fix and flippers, IRR might as well be like E equals MC squared. They have no idea what IRR stands for.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you have a good description of what IRR means?
Yeah, it's basically the percentage return when you consider all cash flows. So it's your distributions. If it's a 5-year hold, right? It's a 5-year investment horizon.
Okay.
You're taking each one of those years, getting capital back, and the remaining year, getting a big chunk of that back. And then with the time value of money, you're discounting it all back to what that equals today.
Okay.
I know it's a pretty complex topic, but it's just everything that goes into the future. If I were to pay for it today, how much would I want to pay for that cash flow?
Yeah, so you've got, like, in single family, what do we talk about a lot? We talk about cash on cash return. If I put $100,000 in, let's say I'm a hard money lender and I give somebody $100,000 that's fixing and flipping and I ask for a 12% return, my cash on cash return is 12%. It's very simple. So it's a very simple calculation. Multifamily is a lot more complex because you're taking depreciation into consideration, you're taking cash flow into consideration, you're taking the ultimate sales price of the asset into consideration, and when you get that big chunk of money back, you blend that over 5 years and you come up with a percentage.
Right.
Also, there's opportunity cost calculation to a certain degree, like the time value of money that goes into this. You might as well just build a rocket ship when you're talking about IRR. Like, it's scientific. Basically, it's the percentage return you receive over that 5-year horizon when you consider and blend all those things together.
Yeah. In fact, we are talking about perhaps not renovating every apartment, keeping a certain number of them classic to leave some meat on the bone at sale for the next buyer so that they can see their increase in their IRR.
Oh, that's a big deal. It's a really big deal to leave a little bit of meat on the bone for the next investor. Obviously, because the plan is to either exit or to refinance the deal. And you don't want to just strip out all the possibility here, because then somebody's like, dude, you raised all the rents. I can't raise the rents on this thing for 3 more years.
That's right.
There's nothing I can do. All right, so guys, hopefully you guys understand where the deal came from. We talked about the purchase price, what the game plan is on this. If you guys are looking to deploy capital and be a partner with us on assets like this, we've got another 21 unit. We're going to do a video about that right down the road. And what's the rate on that assumption?
Oh gosh, so that was actually a little over 5%.
Okay, perfect.
5.1.
The market right now is a little over 7%. So we're getting properties at 2% below what you would be able to go out and get a loan for right now in this market. Plus, the debt structure nowadays, it's like you're having to put 40, 50% down on deals in order to get loans, even at 7 or 8%. So the way the Sub 2 fund is structured is we kind of have an unfair advantage because Ryan and the team understand creative finance, and they're going in and creatively structuring deals, which yields a better return for our investors, and also, more importantly, mitigates our risk to what the Fed is doing and whatever everybody else is worried about, and why a lot of people fled multifamily the last couple of years. Are like, oh my gosh, how do I acquire this stuff? Well, you can see it. Ryan and the team are killing it. This is one of my most favorite assets we have in the portfolio. Like, overall, we have 2,000 units roughly. This is my favorite one. Guys, invest@sub2fund.com is the best email to reach our team, Brittany, head of investor relations, or go over to sub2fund.com if you're an accredited investor. If you're not an accredited investor, that's okay too. Go to sub2fundcf.com if you are a non-accredited investor. I think our average non-accredited investor is investing between $5,000 and $10,000 to get into a deal like this. So we'd love to have you as a partner. If you zoom around, you'll see a bunch of our partners are actually here. They're gonna have lunch with us today. I wanna see you at one of our assets hanging out. People flew in today to hang out at a property that they otherwise would never have had the opportunity in owning without Ryan, Jamie, everybody over at the Sub 2 Fund is the backbone of everything that we're doing. We wanna see you as a partner on the next deal.
We want you to see your investment dollars at work, to see the great work that you're doing for this community.
You know what's cool is, as I was walking around with Eric goes, I want to invest in the Sub 2 fund. I go, why haven't you? He goes, I guess if I put money in today, does that mean I'm diluted because I'm one of the later investors? I was like, absolutely not. We have a specific amount
It's not how
of
our structure works.
It's not how the structure works. You're not diluted and you don't dilute the people beforehand. We've carved out percentage for a specific dollar amount until we fill that up. You get the same percentage as anybody else. And Eric's like, okay, so if I put in, let's say $100,000, where would my money go? I go, painting the fences, painting the things. Like you would actually, your investment improves other people's lives. And that's what's so cool about getting on property, talking to the residents and seeing that your investment is actually changing somebody's life.
That's right.
Totally.
160 households' lives.
160 households' lives. So if you guys want to help change some people's lives, improve the livability of a residence like this, go to sub2fund.com or sub2fundcf.com, and we'll see you in another video about our 21 unit over in Tucson as well, right?
Central
right.
Tucson.
Central Tucson. Later.
Tucson.
People in multifamily right now are getting really, really beat up. The world of real estate has had a hard time because of interest rates, right? Back in the beginning of 2023, interest rates climbed, which elevated my business because I do creative finance. Interest rates don't matter to me. We don't use banks, especially on the front end of a purchase. And so we kind of have the ability to buy way more deals and buy really great deals. So while everybody else is fearful of the market, we know how to take advantage of the market. And I want to give you guys a good example of that. So a couple of years ago, when interest rates were rising, we went out and we bought 160 unit multifamily. I've talked about that a couple of times with some people. And I want to talk about it for maybe 2 minutes, show it to you guys, and then break down a deal that we're actively involved in to show you guys how I think about bigger deals. And the reason I want to teach you this is because when I was brand new and I looked at 100 units or 160 units, it froze me. I was so deathly afraid of anything large that it would just freeze me. And I watched some of my really good friends on social media talk about, oh, you should just skip single family and go into multifamily. You should start with the 32 unit. Guys, I can tell you right now, you should avoid multifamily in the very beginning unless you're investing in somebody else's multifamily. Multifamily is such a different animal. There are employees, leasing agents, there's things to worry about that are like accounting wise that are so much more intricate on a multifamily transaction than it is on single family. However, there's a lot of people that end up joining my community that go, I know Pace does multifamily. I want to learn multifamily from him. And I usually say, if you've never done a deal, let's get you a couple of single family deals so you can see what it feels like to get a transaction, have that paradigm shift of, oh my gosh, I did a real estate deal with no experience, no bank. I did it without any money out of my pocket. I think if I can do this on single family, maybe I can do it on a fourplex. So then I show them how to do it on a fourplex. Then a lot of people go, man, I want to do RV parks and mobile home parks and self-storage. In fact, what do you guys want to do? What kind of asset class do you guys want to focus on? Multifamily, cool. So Mia says multifamily. Self-storage, multi, I want to do multi. You see how many people want to get into multifamily? This is exactly why I'm going to do this training for the next 15 to 20 minutes, is to tell you guys the correct process to get into multifamily is actually through single family, or it's through wholesaling a couple of deals to change that paradigm, especially people that are just barely brand new. You have no credentials, no experience. Multifamily is a completely different beast. Now, what I teach, which is creative finance, avoiding the use of banks, avoiding credit, avoiding your own money, I want to show you guys how we do that on single family today, but I also want to show you how we do that on big multifamily assets, okay? I'm going to pause the side chat for this part of the training. By the way, if you guys are on YouTube right now, I'm going to give you guys a link over on the YouTube channel. We are live on Zoom right now, and we are going to shut down the YouTube channel in about 15 to 20 minutes. We're only going to be on Zoom today. And if you are over on YouTube, I'm giving you a link in your chat. I'm pinning it in the chat. I'm going to tell you one time. I would leave YouTube and come over to the Zoom, and we're going to hang out for probably about 3 hours, do a bunch of Q&A. I'm going to show you guys how to get your first deal in a week or less today. In fact, I have somewhat guaranteed way. I've never missed with this strategy I'm going to break down for you guys today. I've never missed getting somebody their first deal in a week since I started doing this back in October. So I'll break that down for you guys today as well. Okay, so we've got a multifamily deal that a couple of years ago, as interest rates were rising, our team, our sub-2 team, we went out and we started finding sellers that were having a hard time selling their properties. Why are they having a hard time selling their properties? Because the buyers are having to use conventional banks. And if a buyer is having to use a conventional bank, interest rates are going so high right now. Okay. Interest rates are so high back in 2023 that the buyers could not afford to buy these properties. So let's say a seller has a property that he's trying to sell for $20 million. Well, if the buyer is going out and going to a bank, here's the buyer, and he's going to a bank over here to get that $20 million or a portion of that $20 million, and that interest rate is at 7.5%. Well, this $20 million property back in 2021 is no longer worth $20 million in 2023. And the reason being is because the interest rate changed. And so the buyer's ability to afford that asset has also changed. Give me a thumbs up emoji if you guys all understand that part. So that is what has been going on since 2022, the end of 2022, the beginning of 2023. You can feel it in the economy, right? However, people that use creative finance, this is actually like the glory days. I was calling this like 5 years ago. I said, there's going to be a moment in time where interest rates go up, and the only people that are going to be dominating the people that use creative finance, it's going to feel like they have a super secret that nobody else has. And that is exactly what's happened. Our community, the Sub-2 community, has done billions and billions of dollars of transactions while other people are on the sidelines. Okay. So we come in, right? A traditional buyer is going to have to go get 7.5% interest rate or maybe 6.5% interest rate to buy this $20 million asset. And so what happens with these sellers, the guy in orange, the guy in orange is like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to drop my price. I'm going to take my price from 20 mil to 19 mil down to 18 mil until I find a buyer that can afford it. And they're just kind of playing a matching game. Then we come along and we say, hey, seller, we have a really good way that we can get you really close to that 20 million. We don't want to pay 20 million, but we'll give you 19.5 million, which is a couple $1 million more than anybody else. We'll give that to you as long as you sell it to us, the Sub-2 team. You sell it to us for on seller finance, where you let us avoid all banks. You let us avoid all of the credentials, but you give us 4% interest. And so this property, we end up giving the seller what they wanted. Seller got $2 million more than what the market could bear. We come in avoiding banks, avoiding all of the stuff that banks require you to go through. And we end up buying this incredible property. Let me show this to you guys. You guys can see the address and see the property. It's pretty spectacular. It is La Primera at Green Valley. This is a cool property that we own. I'm about to pull it up for you guys so you guys can see it. And one day you guys will also own a property just like this on seller finance without the use of a bank, 161 units. This property primarily consists of people that are retired, that do not rely on a job. This is a retirement area. A lot of people also on government assistance. So we're not worried about AI. We're not worried about jobs replacing our tenants' jobs. We're not worried about robots replacing our tenants' jobs. The majority of these tenants are being paid for by government assistance, pensions, or retirement funds, or even SSI. Okay. And so this property, we buy it on seller finance. We avoid banks. We get a 4% interest rate with the seller. And this property, the number is different every month, so don't quote me, but the property brings in roughly $165,000 a month. That is like, I have to pause after I say that because this property like makes my jaw drop. When I really think about one day, 12 years ago, I would never have ever believed that I would own one single property that brings in $165,000 every single month. When I sleep, when I'm cruising around, when I'm on vacation with my kids, when I'm driving around on the lawnmower in Montana, whatever I'm doing, this property is bringing in $165,000 a month. Now, even better than that number is the number that we net and we distribute as partners. That number is $53,000 every single month that the partners on this deal distribute to families of the partners. That is an insane number. So to tell me that you can buy something without a bank, I just gave you the address, showed you the property, to show you that this is happening, And also to be able to say it brings in $165,000 and we net $53,000 is mind-boggling to me even to this day. But 12 years ago, I would have been incredibly afraid of that. And so the journey I took was a journey that I think most people should take. Because the reality is we know how to negotiate. We know how to show credibility to the seller. We know how to manage the tenants. We know how to collect the money, balance the checkbooks. We know how to actually manage cash flow and distribute money to our partners, right? We know how to do all of those things. Did I learn that through a multifamily course? No. I learned that through single family. The number one best place for you to learn multifamily, self-storage, mobile home parks, RV parks, land development is get a couple of deals in single family. Why? Because every deal that we do, we actually accumulate four things. And I think what most people think you're accumulating is they think you're accumulating money. Oh, Pace, I did my first deal. I got a check. I got $15,000. That was amazing. Yeah, sure. You got a check. The other three things that you are getting every time you do a deal is you're getting a new relationship, okay, with maybe an agent, a broker, right? Maybe some of your private money lenders, what have you. You're getting new relationships. These relationships compound, my friends. I cannot tell you where I spent my first $25,000 on my first deal. I have no idea where that money went, but I can tell you where all my relationships from that first deal went. And it's the same thing with the other things. I accumulated skills and understanding, and I accumulated resources, right? Proper title companies, right? The proper paperwork. I got the right contractors. I got the right people along the way. And this compounds and compounds and compounds to the point where I go, okay, I think I can own a mobile home park. Okay. I think I can own a mobile home park now. So I'll tell you the story of my first deal today and how I got my first deal. It was back in 2012, and I got tremendous help from somebody who physically held my hand, which is what it turns out that's what I needed. I needed somebody to hold my hand. I'm a contractor by trade. I grew up in being a contractor. My dad was a contractor. So what did I learn when I grew up? How to be a contractor. So I got into being a contractor and I turned 30 and I basically was touching all of these buildings, touching all of these houses. And I convinced myself that I was also in real estate. I literally had convinced people would ask me networking events, or I'd go to dinner with friends. What are you doing nowadays? Oh, I do stuff in real estate. I'm a real estate guy. No, I was not a real estate guy. And this is how I found out. My biggest clients back in 2012, 2011, it was Open Doors, Zillow, OfferPad. Those companies were my biggest clients. And they would hire me to do all their renovations. And I was doing 60, 70 renovations every single month. I had a good sized company. And I would get a lot of referrals, right? A lot of people would call me and go, hey, we heard you did a great job on so-and-so's flip. We just bought a flip. Will you do our renovation? And so I heard all these people talking about wholesaling, didn't quite know what wholesaling was, talked about doing deals and making $100,000 on their flip. And I thought, man, I'm part of the conversation. I'm part of the thing. Well, one referral came in. And this lady, Bethany, a lot of you guys know my story with Bethany. A lot of you guys have heard this story, so bear with me. We'll tell it for 4 minutes, but it's important as it compounds into some of these other things. My first mobile home park deal, my first RV park deal, my first self-storage deal, my first land development would not have happened without my first single family house. It would have never happened. I could have read all the books, watched all the videos. I could have watched all these big gurus on all their Class A properties. It would have never happened for me. Never. It would have never happened for me. In fact, single family almost never happened for me until this lady called me. Her name's Bethany. She called me specifically for me to be her contractor. And she says, Pace, heard you do a good job. Can you meet me at this property I just bought? I want to flip it. I need you as my contractor. Cool. I go there. I meet her, do the job. I get it done on time. I communicate. I'm relatively on budget. You're never hitting budget on construction, but you're close. Then I do another house with her. Then she calls me on a third house. On the third house, she says, hey, I want you to show up a little bit early. I need to talk to you. Guys, I don't know about you, but anytime a woman says, hey, show up early, I need to talk to you, you're like clenching up. Like, what did I do? Oh my gosh. And I was thinking the worst, like, what did my crew do? Did they break a mirror? Did they do a thing? Did somebody clog a toilet? My guys were always clogging toilets. And so I show up early, I'm catching up on text messages, and I'm like looking over my my shoulders, like waiting for her to show up to be mad at me about something she wasn't specific about. And she surprise attacks me, bangs on the glass, boom, 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 boom. Get out of your truck, she says. Get out of your truck. I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt like I was being interrogated by the police. I just didn't know at the time that this lady was doing this all out of love. And she saw something in me. And she told me why she was so mad. She says, get to the back of the truck. She opens up my tailgate. She tells me to sit down on the back of the truck. And here I am with my little feet dangling like I'm a little kid. And this lady's talking up at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. It's like my mom. And she says, why aren't you in real estate? I was like, I am in real estate. What are you talking about? She's like, you are not in real estate. I'm in real estate and you are my slave. Without me buying houses, you don't have a job. You think you own your business? I own your business. You need to become an owner of real estate. You need to get into the game of real estate, Pace. You're making 10 grand on a flip. I'm making $100,000 on a flip. It's not the same thing. And Pace, I'll tell you right now, you are not a contractor. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not a contractor? I show up on time. I hit budgets. I communicate. She's like, exactly. No contractor does any one of those threes, and definitely not all of them at the same time. You are not a contractor. You are built for more. You're great at communicating with people. You love people. You should be doing this and helping these sellers like I do. And I was like, well, I don't know where the money comes from. She's like, really? Is that really your excuse? And I was like, I think so. She's like, how long have you been wanting to get into real estate? And I said, 7 years. I've been wanting to get into real estate for 7 years. And she says, Pace, let me tell you, for the last 7 years that you've been contemplating getting started in real estate, what do you want to do? I'm like, multifamily. She's like, you're not getting started in multifamily. Look at you. You've been lying to yourself for 7 years. You've been lying to yourself for 7 years. You are not getting started in multifamily. You haven't even done your first deal yet. So she then says, tell me what the real issue is. And I go, honestly, I think the truth is that I need somebody to hold my hand. I need somebody that takes me by the hand and shows me how this works. Because I've read the books, I've watched the videos, I've been on trainings, I've been to seminars, I've paid for courses, and I just need somebody to hold me by the hand. She's like, okay, done. I got it. But you're going to find deals for me. We're going to do deals together, and I'm going to make money off of you doing deals. And I said, okay, done. Like, that's what I needed. It's the same thing when I learned how to frame a house or, fix a P-trap or replace a receptacle or whatever it was. I needed to see it happen in person. If you guys are also that type of person, throw up an emoji, throw up a thumbs up. Like, tell me you're also that type of person. And most of the people I find, I think it's like 0.01% of people are like, yeah, dude, I don't need any help. I got this. That wasn't me. I was the guy for 7 years that said I was going to do it and I didn't do it. So back at the time, and this is not what I teach people to do unless you're in like a really small market. Small market would be like Fargo, North Dakota, right? Type of thing. She showed me how to spend money on mailers, right? So I would send out mailers and I go, I don't know how to send mailers. She's like, I know you don't know how to send mailers. I'm going to show you how. I'm like, okay. And man, it was crazy. This was almost 13 years ago. It's coming on 13 years ago. And back then, the technology was so amazing that she goes, here's the phone number for the letter company. They'll send letters and they'll send postcards. Postcards are cheaper, but people don't look at them. Mail is a little bit more expensive, but people want to open something. There's like a euphoric feeling. And you're going to write whatever the letter company tells you to write. I'm like, they know what to write on these? She's like, Pace, they have thousands of clients that do what I do, that tell them and give them feedback. Of course, they know what to write on the letter better than I do. So call this number. So I call this number. She has me spend money on my first mail drop, my first mail campaign. And 3 days later, I started getting leads. This is where I was. Okay. I want to tell you, this is where I was mentally. So you guys can understand that this is probably where a lot of you guys are mentally. She told me to get 2 phones. Okay. So I had my main phone for my construction business and she called it the bat phone. She goes, you need to go get a bat phone, a dedicated phone, because you spent money on these leads. You need a phone number that only rings when it's a lead coming in for that exact purpose. I was like, whoa. She goes, yeah, you don't miss these calls. You answer every single call. And I'll go, okay, done. So a couple of days later, we send out the mail. I get 2 phone calls that come in. 2 phone calls. What do you think I did? Do you think I answered the phone? No, you think I would because I spent money on it. I did not. What I did is the phone was in my back pocket. I was on my hands and knees installing a toilet at somebody else's project. And I convinced myself in that moment, it was that little part of my brain to be afraid, to be sitting on the fence, to be in limbo. By the way, I have turkeys that sit on my fence outside. You guys can see outside, I got this little fence. And I look outside in the morning when the turkeys are sitting on the fence, and I'm like, that was me. I was a freaking turkey sitting on the fence. I wasn't convinced that I could do this business. And so what I did is I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I'll call them later. And my butt's vibrating, right? And it's zzz, zzz. I knew it was the money phone. I knew I should have answered the money phone, but I didn't. And I had 2 leads that came in that day, and I go, okay, don't worry, I'll call them tomorrow. Like, I'm pushing it off. And you know what I was afraid of is, even though Bethany says, I'm going to walk you through it, I still had to call her if I needed help. And she would call me an asshole every time I would call her and ask for help. She would call me an asshole. You're such an asshole. Just do what I told you to do. I'm like, man, can't you, like, I wish you could just be in my truck all day long. I wish I could just spend a week with you instead of like calling you when I need help, because now I feel stupid, right? So I realize now I was afraid of picking up those phone calls just in the instant that a seller would say yes. I wasn't even afraid of a seller saying no. I was afraid of a seller of these houses saying, yeah, I'll sell my house to you. And I'm like, whoa, what do I do? What contract? What this? What value? I don't even know the price of things. Like, I was so into the like taking action phase that I had not done enough learning. And finally, I get home that night after missing 2 calls, and my wife, we're sitting at the counter, and she says, hey, has your money phone started ringing from your leads? And I go, yeah, I missed 2 calls today. I was busy. How many of you guys have, I'm busy? You've told yourself that lie. That's me too, right? Your little amygdala in your brain's like, don't do anything outside your comfort zone. Don't do anything that's going to benefit you, because it's going to require a little bit of work. Dude, the work I would have required just pressing answer and pick up the phone. I was so afraid, but I told my wife I was busy. And my wife's like, okay, so are you going to call the people back? I go, yeah, I'll call them back tomorrow. She's like, you're the man that won't wait 5 minutes in a freaking restaurant. You are going to call these people back tomorrow. They called you. By the way, she doesn't talk like this. She's very sweet. She's like, well, sweetheart, they called you to sell their house and you didn't pick up the phone. They're not going to call. They're not going to wait for your call. They're probably calling somebody else. I was like, oh, you're so right. And now I've got social accountability. Somebody in front of me, physically in front of me, saying, dude, do the thing. Do the thing. I'm watching you. Do the thing. I needed that. I needed that accountability of somebody in person. So I go to pick up the bat phone and call these people back. It's like 7 o'clock at night. And another call comes in, a third call. Like, literally, as I'm grabbing the phone to call these people back, I get a third lead. I pick up the phone, and this is how far off I was. I wish I was recording myself, and I wish I had a YouTube channel at the time so you guys could see these silly calls I would make. This first call I answered, I didn't say, hi, this is Pace. I buy houses. How can I help you? Professional. Or, hey, this is Pace. How can I help you? It was, hello? Like, it wasn't a business phone. Like, I didn't spend money to put my number on on a postcard. Like, that's how I answered the phone. Hello? Like a freaking turkey on the fence, not committed to what I'm doing. The lady, her name is Janie. Janie says, is this Pace, the guy that buys houses? I was like, yeah. How can I help you? I'm like making it so hard for this lady to talk to me. And she's like, well, I'm a retiring school teacher. I want to retire and move to Oregon, and I'm going to sell my house. I don't have, my house is in kind of beat up shape, so I don't think I'm going to list through a real estate agent. And I wanted to see what an investor would give me. I was like, okay, so what do you think we should do? And the lady's like coaching me through it. And she's like, I don't know. What do you typically do in this situation? I go, hold on a second. I'll call, I won't call you. Hold on just a second. Let me get my partner. I go to the other line. I call Bethany. Guys, this is my first deal I ever did in my life. First call I ever took. This is my first one. Hey, Bethany, I've got somebody on the other line, and she's asking me, what do we do next? And Bethany's like, set an appointment, dude. Like, here's how you set the appointment. I'm like, okay. So I set the appointment to go visit the house. And I'm sitting there going, how am I going to know the value of the property? What am I going to do with the house? Oh my gosh. And I'm like trembling, type of thing. And Bethany's like, dude, don't worry. I'm with you. Let's do it. And Bethany jumps in with me. We go to the appointment. She's kind of sitting in the car watching and sitting inside the car so I could go do the thing myself. She's like, I want to see you and I'm here for support. I go in the appointment and I'm talking to Janie, the seller. I go to the counter and I see stacks of cards. Real estate agent, real estate investor, real estate agent, real estate investor. And I'm like, okay, so you're talking to a lot of other people like me. Like, I'm not the only person that sent you mailers. I'm not the only one that sent you their business card. And she says, no, I've met with 15 people already. And I go, okay, well, what do you need me for? Like, what's kept you from selling your house? And she says, Pace, I have a price at 165 from another investor. They said they close at 165. Now, right before I walked in the house, Bethany had given me a number. She said, don't offer this lady anything over 150,000. And so as Janie, the seller, is saying she has an offer at 165, I immediately go, oh, I don't think I can help you then. Janie's like, is this a sales trick? I'm like, I'm not smart enough to pull any sales tricks. It's literally what I told her. I go, I have no experience in sales to like pull any sales tricks. It's not a sales trick. She's like, okay, so like, what do we do? I go, I think maybe I just leave. And as I was walking out of the house, I stopped in her doorway. Like, I remember having my back up against the door jamb, and I turned to her and I said, hey, before I leave, I know you're retiring and I know you're, basically here by yourself. Is there anything I can do to help you? I'm a contractor. I have crews. We can help you load up boxes, or do you need anything fixed? And she's like, what are you, like a Boy Scout? I'm like, yes, I am a Boy Scout. My mom made me get my Eagle Scout before I could even drive. And she's like, whoa, you're serious? You like really want to help me? I go, yeah, I want to help you. Anything I can do to help you before I leave? And she's like, you're not going to give me a price. I go, no, I can't help you, Janie. You have a price higher than what I could offer you, but is there something I can do to help you? And she says, yes. Now, I want you guys to remember, a lot of people think that the logo of our community is the Sub2 logo. It actually has two meanings. The other meaning is our bunny ears. Okay. This is the symbol of the first deal I ever did and the first lesson I ever learned in real estate. Well, probably the second. The first lesson in real estate is stop being a turkey, get off the fence. That's the first lesson in real estate. Get off the fence. Like, make a decision or don't make a decision. Stop teasing yourself you're going to get into real estate and just do the gosh dang thing. You already know you need to get into real estate. So that was the first thing. Stop being a turkey, get off the fence. The second lesson was finding the bunnies. And this is what happened. So Janie says, all right, well, I've got something in the backyard. Can I show it to you? She takes me to the backyard. We go in the backyard. She opens the sliding glass door and she shows me these bunnies that are literally the size of like a 5-year-old child. They're called Flemish bunnies. And she has 3 of them. And she says, they're costing me $600 a month. I can't retire with these bunnies. My granddaughter brought them home. We thought they were regular bunnies. They turn into these massive, massive bunnies. And I don't know what to do with them. Like, do you know anybody that will actually give them a good home? I don't want to sell them. I don't want to give them to a family I don't trust. Like, I really need somebody that can take these. I go, dude, I can solve this problem. And she's like, really? I go, yeah. I call my mom. I literally just call my mom, a 30-year-old man calling my mom going, hey mom, here's the situation. I got this lady that needs help. My mom is such a gangster, raised 12 children. My mom is so awesome. She didn't even ask me why. That's the family I came from. My mom didn't even ask me why, like, hey, why? She just went and borrowed a truck from a friend of hers, brought this truck to this house and helped me load these bunnies into my mom's truck. And my mom took these bunnies down to her little farm. My mom had like 4 acres at the time. And she gave Janie a hug. She says, oh, my son Pace, he loved his school teacher. This is awesome. I'm so glad we could help you out. And then my mom leaves. Like, she's there less than 20 minutes. And Janie's standing there with her mouth open going, who are you people? And I was like, oh, I'm just a person to just want to help out. A scout is courteous, kind, right? You guys know the scout motto. I could go through all this kind of stuff. And I just remember going through the scout motto over and over and over in my life, right? And she's like, you're not going to give me an offer on my house. I go, no, you should sell your house to the person that gave you a higher number. I just can't get to that number. Now, I didn't know creative finance at the time. Otherwise, I would have been able to get this house a different way, probably faster.
But I left and I told Bethany in the car ride home, she's like, what happened? I told her. Bethany's like, interesting. I bet you'll still buy this house. I'm like, no, she's going to sell to somebody else. She's like, no, I bet you'll still buy the house. 2 weeks later, I get a call from Janie, school teacher. Hey, Pace, sorry it's Saturday and I don't want to bother you, but I just want to let you know I made the decision on who I'm going to sell my house to. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Anything I can do to help you? What did you end up selling the house for? And she goes, well, I don't know yet. I'm like, you made the decision. What do you mean you don't know yet? And she goes, well, I made the decision to sell my house to you. I met with 15 people before you, and I met with 15 people after you, and you were the only person that actually gave me compliments about my house. You asked me questions about where I was moving. You were genuinely concerned with what was going to happen in my life, and I sell the house, and what does my new house look like, and what's my living situation? And you were the only person that asked me if you could help. And she says, Pace, I have not met somebody in all of my years of living on this earth that genuinely just helped me and did not use. And she goes, I was waiting for you to call me for 2 weeks to say, I rehomed your bunnies. You need to sell your house to me. She's like, I've waited 2 weeks and here we are. You still haven't done that. You're serious. And whatever the number is that you guys are at, you're my buyer. Now, I still didn't know what the heck we were doing with the house or how to fill out a contract. So what did I do? I called the person that was like the person that would go with me. So I called Bethany and go, I need help. She goes, great, let's go. Bethany takes me up to the house. She comes into the appointment with me with Janie. She fills out all the contracts, shows me in person. I'm like, oh my gosh, every video I've ever watched about contracts, every video that I could have ever watched, every book, everything, you just showing me in person and watching the seller answer or ask questions through or going through the contract was the best education I could have ever asked for. It gave me all the confidence to go out and do it on my own over and over and over and over and over and over again. And Janie is crying, thanking me for giving her the number 150. And I was like, what the heck? So we get in the truck. Bethany says to me, and I want to remind you of where I was mentally at this point in my life. Bethany says, hey, congratulations, you got your first deal. And here's what I was more excited about. I want to tell you what I was more excited about than the deal. Mind-blowing. Still, when I say it to this day, I'm still blown away by the fact that I was more excited about something else other than the deal. And it just reminds you of where my mindset was. I said, well, where am I going to get the $150,000 from, Bethany? And what are we going to do with the house? She goes, oh, Pace. Okay. So you are selling the house to me and I'm going to buy it from you for $175,000. You're going to make $25,000. I'm like, okay, but where am I getting the $150,000 from? She's like, I will cover your cost. I will wire all 175 to the title company. They will wire 25 to you and 150 to Janie. You don't have to bring any money to the table. I'm like, no way. You're joking me. I just did 3 hours worth of work and I helped a lady. I helped somebody and I got paid $25,000. Guys, meanwhile, in 13 years of doing this, I've never had a license. I've never gone to formal school. But being physically in person with somebody, showing me that people like Janie are everywhere was a game changer for me. Game changer. And they're everywhere. Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. I could show you, you guys name a city, I could pull up 2,000 foreclosures right now. People that need your help right now, but you don't know how to stop their foreclosure. You wouldn't even know what to do with the house. My mind was still having a hard time contemplating like what the heck just happened. And she says, amazing. So what's our next step? And what she was trying to get me to say was, I'm going to go find another deal. That's what Bethany was trying to get me to say. But I said, as I go, I guess I'm going to do a construction estimate. I was more excited about doing the renovation on the house because my blue collar exchange time for money mindset was still frozen in time. That first deal did not break me out of it. It was like, she goes, are you kidding me? You just got your first real estate deal. No license, no money, no credit. You made $25,000 helping a lady. And the first thing you jump to is, I can't wait to pick up a hammer and swing it. Why is your first thought not, let's go do another deal? And I was like, well, can I do both? And she says, Pace, no man can serve two masters. If I were you, I would jump full-time into real estate. And she then fired me. She fired me as her contractor right there. She says, you are hereby fired as my contractor. You're never going to do another project for me ever again. You need to find me 100 deals. This year I'm retiring. You have 1 year to do as many deals with me as humanly possible. And I did 100 deals with her that first year. My take home that year, because I had marketing expenses and all that kind of stuff, my net in my pocket was $700,000 working maybe 2 hours a day on appointments and just selling deals to her in my first year. No license, no technology, none of the apps and the software that we have today, none of the stuff that I'm going to give you guys. I'm going to give you guys 12,000 buyers. I'm going to give you 12,000 Bethany's, skip trace with all their phone numbers today for free. I didn't have that stuff. That technology didn't even really exist at the time. Man, I went and lit the world on fire. My life changed. And I got obsessed with it. I got so obsessed with not only getting sellers out of bad situations, but actually giving them what they wanted. And here's what's really, really fun. I've got a multifamily deal now where everything comes down to finding these bunnies. Every single relationship I have now is, where are the bunnies? Where are the bunnies? What bunnies do you have? Oh, you're going through a divorce. Okay, those are your bunnies. Oh, you're going through bankruptcy. That's your bunnies. Okay, you want a really high price because you're trying to retire. Oh, I get it. Those are your bunnies. And I've got a multifamily deal right now that nobody on the planet is able to do except for me and my team. And that's what I wanted to lead to, is that I would have never been able to figure this stuff out if I didn't go through single family first and learn these things by getting base hit. Now it's like, let's go hit home runs. Now doing a single family deal is like I could sneeze and do a single family deal. In fact, this last 7 months, I've helped over 700 people get their first deal, just like Bethany helped me get my first deal. So what this deal is, this multifamily deal, here's the structure. So I keep going to my chicken farm over there. The structure of this deal is this. You've got a seller in Phoenix, okay? He goes and buys a motel. I won't give you guys the address, but he goes and buys a motel for $1.5 million. It's an abandoned motel. And his thought is, hey man, I'm going to go flip this really, really fast. So what he does is he goes and puts another $1 million into this thing, rezoning it, getting new utilities ran to it, and he rezones it to be a multifamily property instead of a motel. The problem is this $1 million takes longer than expected. He's a little bit over budget, but way over time. This 1 year project turns into a 3-year project, and he just gets to a point where he's like, I need to get out. The problem is now he's all into this property, $2.5 million. And guess what he can't do? He can't sell this to anybody for $2.5 million right now. Everybody's coming in and giving him lowball offers. Why? I already kind of coached you along. Because what they're doing, these other buyers that are not me, are using conventional methods. And this is how creative finance just sweeps the floor with people using conventional methods, meaning they're going to banks and they're using their credit. Meanwhile, me and my team just go, we don't want to go through conventional methods and get a 7.5% rate. We go to the seller and go, hey, seller, how about this? We will give you $3 million on this property, which will allow you to be made whole for your $2.5 million investment. And you will get another $500,000 above anybody else's offer if you don't make us buy the property until the renovation is done. So the seller's letting us avoid coming up with the $2.5 million up front, which means I don't have to go get a bank and I can just start renovating the property. So what I do is I'll go to members of my sub 2 community and I'll go, hey, who wants to partner on this deal? And I'll go get sub 2 members who are making a ton of money in single family. And I'll go to my sub 2 members and go, hey, who wants to pitch in for the renovation? And we all become partners on this awesome renovation. This is also how I got into multifamily. I partnered on other people's projects and I learned the process with money I made in single family. And so all my sub 2 members will come in, they'll pitch in, they'll pay for the renovation. And we're converting this 100 plus, I don't know the exact unit count, but we're converting this 100 unit motel into what I call a super section 8 property, meaning that we will put 100 plus Section 8 tenants in here, which is government guaranteed income. It doesn't matter what's going on with AI and job losses, and it doesn't matter what's going on with the economy. We will get 100 units put into the economy that are affordable housing, and we will use only HUD vouchers to fill this up. There's other people going out there doing like single onesie, twosie, little Section 8 types of thing. That's kind of cute. We buy a whole entire portfolio of single family in one transaction. And the way I got here is because of single family. The way I got here is because somebody helped me walk through my first contract and help my first seller and show me what this business looks like. That is the number one thing I was missing. I learned everything on the job. I learned everything while I was earning, I was learning. And I learned all of these things from Bethany. And we did 100 plus deals together, and a woman to her word, she retired that year. She retired at the end of the year, and I'll show you guys some cool things today in how I want to help you guys get your first deal and how I've helped about a group of about 700 people over the last 6 months get their first deal doing something similar to what Bethany did for me, right? Passing the torch and showing the next person in line how to physically go do a deal. Zoom is great, right? I love Zoom. We can get to know each other. I can teach you things. I can fill in the gaps. But really, at the end of the day, most people just need to learn in person, and most people need to be handheld through the process. And so I watch people go, skip single family. Guys, you find me one multifamily person that wasn't already rich, wasn't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. You show me one person that wasn't born with those two things that started in multifamily, and I'll show you a portal to another universe that doesn't exist. Every single person you respect in multifamily, guess what their first deal was? Single family. It's easy for them to go, oh, skip single family, go straight to multifamily, when they literally could not have gotten to multifamily without single family, literally. And what they're trying to get you to do is just write a check to invest in their multifamily, which is genius. Don't do single family, but then they don't teach you how to do multifamily. Guys, when people partner with me, my sub 2 members, I show them how to make a ton of money in single family. They have excess cash. I go, hey guys, let's go partner and take this thing down, supply 100 units of affordable housing to the marketplace. We partner together. We visit the property together. We go through the P&L. We show people how to do the thing. You get a full-on education in multifamily just by being a partner with me. That is the way I learned multifamily. That is the way you should learn multifamily. And that's the same thing that my students learn RV parks and self-storage. We partner together. We do deals together. Okay. I went from single family to mobile home parks. Okay. Check this out. This is a mobile home park I bought 2018, 2019. And this park, I'll pull up the receipt today. I got the receipt on the 6th. This is, I get this receipt every single month. It's roughly the same every month, but this is an RV park. I'm sorry, a mobile home park. My first commercial deal right here. Every single month, this property gives me $7,428 in my pocket after all expenses, after payments, after allocation, after management, after every last thing. $7,200 or $7,400 goes in my pocket. I bought that deal for no money down with the seller, 0% seller finance, 0% seller finance, not 4%, not 2%. The seller literally gave me 0% seller finance. You know how I learned that? Single family. I took what I learned in single family, brought it into mobile home parks. I then brought it into RV parks. I then perfected processes across the country. And oh my gosh, now we do it in multifamily. It is so cool. We have people have been in multifamily for 20 years calling us and going, hey, do you guys have a multifamily class? We can learn how to do this creative finance thing. These banks are beating us up. We're like, yeah, come on down. Guys, the way to get into multifamily is through single family for 99.9% of people. And the people that disagree with me, I would love to see you jump into multifamily right as your first deal. Your seller's going to ask you, what is your rent roll? What does your current portfolio look like? How are you going to buy my property on seller finance and manage 160 units if you don't have another property in your portfolio? It's not going to happen. Sellers are going to seller finance to you, but they're going to ask you, what does your portfolio look like? Single family, sellers don't ask that question. RV parks, most of them don't ask that question. Mobile home parks, most of them don't ask that question, but you get a multifamily, they want to see, what's your portfolio? Who's your management team? What does this look like? They're not going to make you go through a bank. but they're still going to ask about your ability to manage 160 units. And so I could not have physically, even though I knew creative finance and even though I knew all of these things, I could not have skipped to multifamily without building the pedigree and the credibility in multifamily.
You ever feel like you're getting left behind? Every time you drive by a property like this, that people are developing, they've got electrical getting ran, little orange flags everywhere, they've got a hotel being built, all this multifamily, guys are throwing up bricks on buildings that you don't even own. There was a point where I used to feel like I was falling behind. And then I figured out how to get into real estate. And then more importantly, I figured out how to compound my success to get into bigger assets like the one we're gonna talk about today, Stonebrook. So the question is, how do I get started in real estate? Couple of things. First and foremost, it's not how, it's always who. Who can you get around? Go to our free Creative Finance Facebook group. You guys can go in there and meet with a lot of my successful students, a lot of people that are in your local geographical area. Like tonight, we're gonna have a meetup here in North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham, 200-300 people will show up. Those are the people you need to get to know. Stop asking how, start asking who. So specifically for me, how did I get started in multifamily? It wasn't until I met my current partner, Vina Jetty. This is a property that we own together. A property in Raleigh, it's actually not Raleigh, it's in the Research Triangle between Raleigh and Winston-Salem. It's almost 200 units, And the fact that I can stand on the pavement here and say that I'm a part owner of 200 units here is unbelievable. There was a point where I would drive by and point at buildings like this and say, one day I'll become an owner. So here's the steps to get started in multifamily. Step number one, here's what I would do. I would invest in somebody else's fund as an LP, a limited partner. I would look at successful groups. There's Brandon Turner's, there's Grant Cardone. If you like Grant Cardone, you know, some people love him, some people hate him. That's, I think, the powerful polarizing part of Grant Cardone, which is why he's one of the greatest marketers on the planet. You find a Vina Jetty, a Pace Morby. You find people that are doing big deals and you say, how can I invest as an LP? Now, what does an LP do? Well, the LP doesn't have to find the deal. They don't have to negotiate, put the team together. They don't have to manage the asset. They just get passive income. Truly, is there such thing as passive income? There's people out there that say there is no such thing as passive income, and the reality is that is incorrect. If you invest as an LP on a big asset like this, you get a check either monthly or quarterly based on the way that they structured the fund. Now, why would I start as an LP in somebody else's instead of just going and doing my own? Well, there's mindset things that you break through. There's momentum. There's conversations you now get to have with the people you invested with that they're like, yo, this person invested in my property. I'm willing to give them their time because they're not just somebody in my DMs or my YouTube comments asking me a bunch of silly questions I've asked 1,000 times and those people just didn't feel like doing the research and typing something in. They're just trying to steal my time. But when you cut a check to get into somebody's fund, like we have a fund called the sub2fund.com. My editor will put it on the screen, link in the description down below. How can I invest with a Pace Morby? Well, go to sub2fund.com. How do I invest with Vina Jetty? Well, DM her on Instagram and ask her, how can you invest with her? Becoming an LP gives you passive income. It gives you ownership. It gives you bragging rights. It gives you credibility. It gives you the ability that you can go to a seller if you're actively negotiating with sellers and say, look, I'm a partner on a big asset in North Carolina, 100 and almost 200 units. That is the easiest way to get into multifamily. What's the next level? The next level is step number 2, become a fund of funds. Write that down, take note. I'm gonna do multiple videos on the YouTube channel all about fund of funds. What it means is, let's say that Vina Jetty, okay, one of my good friends, we'll pop her up on the screen. Vina Jetty goes, I found this asset, we're gonna buy it for 40 million, but I gotta go raise $12 million to get this deal done and go get a loan for 28 million. Well, she's gotta find investors to bring that $12 million to the table. So wouldn't it be cool if you, yes you, or me, told Vina, hey Vina, you know that $12 million that you've got to raise? How about I raise $1 million of it for you through my fund? Okay, so you create a fund, a legal structure called a fund. You bring $1 million of your known associates, your friends, your family into your fund, and then your fund invests the money into Vina's fund. This is called a fund of funds. What does it do for you? It means that you can now become a part owner by leveraging money into her deal. You don't have to have any money out of your pocket. You didn't have to find the asset. You didn't have to put the team together. You didn't have to have the payroll, the office, or any of that kind of stuff. You get to leverage the backbone of Vina Jetty on a property like this, or leverage the credibility of a Pace Morby. Like right now, we've got 160 unit multifamily on seller finance by the way, on seller finance. If you guys want to see more about that deal, I'll give you a link to the Zoom that we did recently in the description down below. And you can either A, become an LP, a limited partner, or B, do a fund of funds with me and go, wait, Pace, I can tell people that this is my project? I go, yeah, well, it is. You're raising $1 million for the project. Yes, it's your project. So easiest way to get started in multifamily, step number 1, become an LP in somebody else's investment. 2, become a fund of funds. And then 3, there you go. Now this is where things get cooking. Number 3 is you've now asked 1,000 questions while being an LP, 2,000 questions by being a fund of funds. You have the credibility. You know how the paperwork works. You now see how the acquisition people are finding the deals and getting their hands on stuff like this. Did I trick everybody? They think I'm in the same spot? Now, you've seen how the money gets raised, you've seen how the paperwork goes, you've been on Zooms, you've seen and maybe walked the properties. You have gotten a front row seat into a multifamily education that other people wish they had. Again, start as an LP. Stop trying to go out and do your own multifamily. Invest in somebody else's project and get some credibility, get some momentum. 2, fund of funds. Boom, unbelievable education. Step number 3 is you can now start your own fund. Now, this is where the questions that most people are asking me start becoming relevant. Because the problem is, all these doors, take all these doors for example. Door number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all these doors. You're there, door number 1 right now. You haven't even opened a door number 1 and you're asking people, what is inside door number 12? You haven't gone there yet. Start with door number 1. In fact, what's inside door number 1 might be the key to opening up door number 12. And that's the thing that people miss with multifamily is they go, how do I start in multifamily? And you're asking, how do I get into multifamily by skipping doors 1 through 11? You have no credibility. You have no ability to negotiate. You have no ability to underwrite. You have no ability to raise money. You have no ability to do all of these big things that multifamily requires. So start with door number 1. Door number 1 is invest as an LP in somebody else. Start as now raising money for somebody else's project. Maybe do that 1 or 2 times. My first foray into multifamily, I bought small multifamily deals, 30, 50, 60 units on seller finance. But when I decided I want to go out and do syndications, I didn't go and try and reinvent the wheel. I went to Vina Jetty and I became an LP in some of her stuff. I then asked Vina Jetty and other investors, how can I be a fund of funds? And I can learn the process. You get $300,000-$400,000 of education by just doing that and skipping all that stuff. You guys are trying to go into door number 12. Again, what if the key to door number 12 is in door number 1? And that truly is my belief. My belief is that becoming an LP and doing fund of funds is the key to all the other doors, okay? Now, you wanna move on. You wanna do your own fund. By this time, again, you've acquired all the skills. You wanna start finding and looking for deals. That's another video for another day. So here's what I'll do. I'll do a part 2 of this, and what we'll do is we'll show you guys how to do a fund of funds or how to here's what we'll do. The video topic will be how to start in multifamily part 2, and it will show you guys how to become an LP, the benefits of being an LP, and how to start as a fund of funds. That's door number 2, bada bing, bada boom, door number 2, and we'll put those into a video that Vina Jetty, maybe one of my underwriters or somebody else on my team, maybe Ted Head, the head of my fund at sub2fund.com. By the way, if you guys want to invest as an LP with me, go to sub2fund.com, and we'll do a whole training on how to do those 2 things. We'll change your lives. If you guys haven't already, please like, please subscribe, make some comments and questions down below so that we know what videos to make next. And hopefully one day you can be a part owner with us on a $40 million project that's close to 200 units. The biggest blessing in my life is figuring out what wholesale real estate was and learning how to buy shit. Then when you start realizing that you're helping the seller every time, like that seller every month on the $20 million asset we were just at, that seller gets a check from us every month for 40 grand a month because he's the bank. Right? I don't pay a bank my payment. He is my bank, so I pay him the 40 grand. So that seller doesn't have a tenant, taxes, toilets, nothing. He just gets a check for 40 grand every month. In his retirement, everybody else is trying to live on like a $3,000 pension. That dude's got 40 grand coming in. It's pretty good. I have a contract with the seller. He's my bank, right? You understand all that? Okay. That seller cannot legally raise my interest rate. We're locked in at 4% for 20 years. Okay. So let's say that the Fed, which is Jerome Powell and whatever, they raise interest rates. Does my payment change? No.
What about, that doesn't affect him, does it?
Who? The seller? No. Okay. Because he has it all paid off free and clear. So imagine, here's the difference, okay?
what's this rig cost? Probably $6,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So you own this rig free and clear, okay?
Right.
And I go to you and I go, hey Trevon, I'll buy this rig from you, the G Master lens, the battery pack, all the
Right.
the Sen. Oh man, this thing might be $7,000, maybe $8,000 with 2 Sennheisers on it. So I go to you and I go, hey, I'll buy this from you at $8,000, but I want to pay you $800 a month for 10 months. That's $8,000, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And you go, done. Okay, what did we just structure? We structured a seller finance deal. There's 4 terms in every seller finance deal: purchase price, down payment, interest rate, and length of time. You don't know it, but I just structured a 0 down, 0% interest deal with you. So I did $8,000. I'll pay you $800 a month for the next 10 months. So I put no money down, no interest, 10 months. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So I could do that with you, right?
Right.
Great. And you own it free and clear, and you go, you know what? I love that, but I want you to pay me 5% interest on the money. So I end up paying you $8,700 over 10 months, let's just say hypothetically, okay?
Okay.
Cool. We're locked in. That's our contract. We're done. You're the bank. You are literally the bank.
Right.
We sign an agreement with each other called a promissory note. I promise to pay you everything that's written down on this note. Therefore, we're calling it a promissory note. Does that make sense?
So,
Okay. It's like you remember seeing Dumb and Dumber,
yeah.
where they had those little sticky notes, or like, oh, I owe you. You don't want to keep this one. It's $200,000.
Yeah.
That's a promissory note.
Okay.
Okay. I owe you money. Let's put it on the sticky note. Okay.
All right.
Cool. Versus, I go and get a credit card. Okay. That's an adjustable rate credit card, and I go buy this from you for $8,000. Interest rates go up. Guess what happens to my credit card? My payments go up, right? That's what people are doing, is they're going to banks to buy these apartment buildings. I'm going to the sellers. So the banks, where is their money coming from? The Fed is dictating the rates, right? So these multifamily buyers, they go buy a $100 million asset thinking, well, the rates are really good right now. They're at 3%, and we could cash flow really, really good. The Fed comes in and goes, we're raising rates. And all of a sudden, a property that's making $50,000 turns into a property that's losing $100,000 a month.
Wow.
That's traditional real estate.
But you're locked in.
I'm locked in.
You don't have to worry about
No.
that. No.
I'm the only one on the YouTubes or any influencer talking about doing it this way. Why? Because everybody talks about, it's like, think about, Sony kind of like took over the last like 8 years.
Yeah.
It was like the first guy that decided, I'm going to use a Sony because it is better in low light. He was like a maverick. And then all of a sudden, everybody's using Sony.
Yeah.
That's what I've done to creative finance. So I built this community of people using nothing but Sonys. And we now look at the people using Canons, are like, you guys are freaking dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So everybody in the sub-2 community has adopted creative finance, and we're dominating. I got a text message from Louver, one of the Owners Club members, and he goes, dude, I went to a networking event. When people find out we're an Owners Club and in sub-2, everybody swarms us because they're like, you guys are the elite people in the real estate industry.
Right.
Like, we're not just some community. We run the industry, which is cool. Okay, so this is the same thing with all multifamily people. What's my game plan on these properties? You buy them, you raise the rents, you sell them to a BlackRock. Make sense? That big one down there?
Right.
Cool. But that takes 5 to 7 years to like turn over all the tenants. How many properties have we renovated at that unit? Or how many units have we renovated? Out of 160, did you pick up on that?
Yeah.
It was 80. We've only renovated 80. Okay? Why have I not renovated the other 80? Because the tenants have not moved out. I gotta wait for those tenants to evolve and move out.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
This is why single family is easier than multifamily, because you got a lot more things
Because
to
you don't
consider.
want to stop making money just so you could.
Hell no.
Because that's like stupid. So
I got bills to pay.
You're like, oh, we'll fix it as it.
Yeah. Somebody moves out and they go, hey, I'm gonna re-up. You go, perfect. We want to keep you in the property, but we're gonna move you to a more updated unit, but your rent's gonna go up $200. Do you want that? Or do you want to renew in the same unit you're in? So the way we're doing it now is we go, hey, do you want a rate increase of $100 and stay in the unit you're in? Or do you want a rate increase of 250 and move to a brand new crispy unit? And you're going and playing that cup game, right? You're moving cups around and you're managing that asset. Every time I go down there, there's new things that have been renovated. I don't know anything about it, but that's what's happening in multifamily. And that takes how many years? 1 year? No. Some people have 2-year leases. So think about somebody that goes and buys one of these properties and you're waiting for these tenants to move out so you can renovate them and raise the rents and then sell the property. And while you're doing all that, the increase of the interest rates completely destroy you. That's what's happening in multifamily right now.
And then, while they're getting destroyed, somebody comes through and they buy it, sell it, finance.
Yeah.
So it's just a big game.
For me, yeah. This is why I don't play the interest rate game. I'd rather go buy that thing where the seller gives me 20 million on seller finance, or every property I own, you will see I only have locked in, dialed in interest rates. Either A, 99% of them are directly from the seller, or B, I've owned it so long that I went to a bank and I refinanced all the money out. Let's say I buy a property for $300,000 and 7 years later it's worth $700,000. Is it smart for me to have that $400,000 in cash just sitting in that house? No. So what you do is you go to a bank and you go, I want to do a refinance. And you get a new loan, not for $300,000, but you get a new loan for like $550,000. Why? Because then I get to pull a chunk of my money out. But is that income? It's not income, it's a debt. This is how rich people like me never pay taxes. I'm getting a new loan. Who's paying the loan now? The tenant. So the tenant sits in there, I just go get a new I refinance the loan, and I don't make that payment, the tenant's making the payment. Okay? And so every 5 to 7 years, you pull a big chunk of money out, and you go buy more with more debt. You reinvest or you live on it. Like, hey, last year I put $600,000 into my Montana ranch. Finished my barn, my concrete thing, my pickleball court. I'm putting like money into I have a full court basketball thing, and it's like a sport court. It's not concrete. It's like, well, it's concrete, but sport court on top. That was like 80 grand. How did I pay for that? I refinanced money out of another property, tax-free, and I put it into something else. You're just playing Monopoly all day long. Like even today, I'm pulling $300,000 out of a property. I'm getting all of that money tax-free. So people are like, oh, these rich people don't pay taxes. Like, you're right. And this is why people like Trump, is because Trump is also a real estate guy. So he's like, I'm going to set it up for real estate investors to win because I'm a real estate investor. So I think Trump's a lunatic, but I also know that he makes my life better because I make a ton of money. By the way, you going through this mobile home area, I have flipped so many houses. I've built so many houses. I've done so many things. Somebody's going to build a property right here. Good for them. This is my neighborhood I made probably the most money on in my career. I did a YouTube video about this.
Yep, I recognize it.
Yeah, they started working on it. You see they put the new windows on it. I've got a new friend in the studio with me. Actually flew all the way from Hudson Valley, New York. Unbelievable guy, unbelievable family, and we become friends over the last 3 or 4 months. I'm interested in hearing his story. This gentleman has owned hundreds of units of doors in one of the toughest markets in the country, New York City. Right? I would never own property there because I don't know enough about it. So today I get to unfold this gentleman, open up the pages of his book, and hear the story that he has to tell us. You can find him on Instagram at _property boss. And also his team is building a YouTube channel that is, I think, going to be unbelievable. So welcome to the show, Paul Carassone.
Oh.
He was wondering how I was going to say that, by the way, because your brother pronounces it differently, right?
He sure does. He calls it Paul Carassone. So we're always back and forth. We're at odds.
Super Italian.
Oh, yeah. I'm Carassone. He's Carassone. If I'm in Italy, it's Carassone.
Okay, so you guys are in New York. Your parents immigrated to the United States?
Yes.
And when was that?
Had to be in the 60s.
In the 60s, okay.
Were 50s, in the 50s.
In the 50s, which means you were born here in the United States. Okay, and you were born in New York. You got your start in real estate. We're going to get there in a little bit, but what was your first couple of jobs when you were coming up after you graduated high school?
Well, I started working when I was about 9 years old, and I was always working in supermarkets, going to pack groceries, things like that, till finally I got my working papers at 14 years old, started working in supermarkets. And that's what I
Working
did.
papers, huh?
Yeah, we had to have working papers back then. And I'm sure you probably the kids need them today too. 14 years old, you have to have working papers.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Never once. I love that. So working papers at 14. Who got you into that? Your parents?
Into working in supermarkets?
Yeah.
It was just a place to go and work and make some money because,
So like kids in the neighborhood just knew
Yeah.
that was a thing.
yeah, just go and pack at the grocery store.
Wow. Packing, like meat packing or bagging groceries?
Bagging groceries. Go pack groceries into the bags. People ring up at the register. You pack the groceries. Customers leave you a tip and they're on their way.
How in the heck have we changed as a country so much that 9-year-olds and 14-year-olds don't get jobs anymore?
I don't know.
That's amazing. So 14 years old, you're at supermarkets, you kind of get your start in that supermarket. Did you leave that business or did you stay in that business for a while?
Most of my life.
Most of your life.
Most of my life.
Tell me about that journey.
Start packing groceries. Then I had to be got my working papers. Then I start rolling coins. You know, now I'm working in the front. I'm still, working in the front of the store. And the funny story is the manager would bring me change to wrap. And wrapping, you get the rolls of coins, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, so on. And I would be counting them and then putting them into the little wrappers.
This is before the machines, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Roll of pennies, 50 pennies in a roll. You would count 50 pennies, put them in a roll. Then the manager come up to me one day. His name was Jack. He says, Paul, what are you doing? He says, take the pennies, put them in a roll, put them on a scale. Don't count them, weigh them.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
You were spending all that time and energy.
Counting, yeah. He told me how much each weighs. Pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters.
Question
That's
is,
how
why
we
didn't
would
he
count.
tell you that before you started counting?
Don't know, but he did.
That's what a good mentor would have done, man.
Eventually he did.
He must have wanted you to learn the hard way. I'm gonna let him do it the hard way, and then I'll fix it a little bit later so he can appreciate the scale.
Probably. Then I went to becoming a porter.
Okay, what's a porter? Like a delivery guy?
No, porter is just mopping the store, cleaning the store, breaking aisle 5, clean up here, clean up there. And then when there was nothing to clean up, you're down in the basement baling boxes. Now, baling boxes is you break all the boxes, you put them in this baling machine, compress them down into these 4x4 bundles, and then you wire tie them. And tough job, not the cleanest job.
Yeah, you're down in the basement. You're down in all the mucky muck where the customers never go. You're busting your butt. You're going up and down stairs. You're down there by yourself a lot of times. Okay, so then from porter to then what?
From porter, baler, then to up on the main floor of just packing shelves.
And this is all in Manhattan.
This is in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Man, how that city has changed since you were growing up there.
Oh yeah. Yep, sure has.
Wow. Okay, so you're a porter, then you go where?
Up on the main floor, we're just boxing groceries, packing groceries, unboxing, put them on the shelves, things like that. And unloading trucks. Trucks come in, count, and then before you know it, go to dairy department. Then start working the dairy, start working through dates and understanding how that works. And then,
How old are you at that point?
At that point, I'm probably 16 years old.
Okay, so you're going to school. You get out of school, you go over there, you start busting your butt.
Oh, yeah.
At the grocery. When are you going home?
Back then, stores closed at 7, so probably 8.
Wow.
Yeah. Go home, do homework, go to bed, wake up, next day, repeat.
Completely different world nowadays for kids. My dad was a contractor, so I started working for him on weekends when I was 8, somewhere around that time frame. And then my first real job is I was packing donuts at age 14. And I figured out faster, more efficient ways to pack the donuts so I could leave. They would pay me per route. And so I was incentivized to just do it faster. But at 14, all my friends were running around doing stupid things. And I'm over there making $300-400 a week. I felt like I was the richest human being on planet Earth. Do you remember how much money you were making about this time, 16 years old?
$50 a week.
And what were you doing with that money? Were you helping out with the family or were you just keeping that money? Okay.
No, I would give it to my mom because at this point, my mother and father divorced.
Okay,
so
got it.
Things were tight. And then I bought a car. Of course, now you have to have a car. You're driving around, cruising, doing all the things 16, 17-year-olds do.
Getting in trouble.
Brooklyn. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
hanging out with your friends. We actually hung out and did things.
Yeah, me too. I was in the age where we did that too.
Yeah, skateboard, ride bikes, things like that. We did
Okay,
all
what
the
was your
crazy
what
stuff.
was your first car?
Toyota Corolla.
Back then, huh?
Toyota Corolla.
Wow.
Then
Used or new?
used.
Do you remember what you paid for it?
No, I don't remember.
You got to find that out.
It couldn't have been more than $1,800. That I could tell you.
Okay. So you're cruising around, you're 16, you're helping out your mom. $50 a week back then was
It was
significant.
decent. Yeah, it was decent money.
And did you do that out of sense of duty and responsibility to your mother? Or did your mom say, hey, Paul, you got to pull your own weight around here?
No, my mom never told me to go to work. It was just something I knew I had to do. It was something that came natural. You did it. At that age, in those days, you wanted to go out and work. You didn't want to sit home on your rear and just do nothing. You wanted to go to work, make some money.
It's interesting. I think that is going to be part of the story coming up is your work ethic is probably what has gotten you to where you currently are today.
Yeah.
And so you'll get people to reach out to you on your DMs, or I will too, and they'll go, Pace, what's the secret? What if you were going to tell somebody at 22 years old what the secret to success was? I would say, ask Paul, start bagging groceries at age 9, get the work ethic, because it becomes part of who you are.
Yeah.
In fact, I would imagine by the age of 16, 17, 18, you feel restless and uneasy if you're not working.
Back then, yes.
Right. So, all right. So you're at the grocery store, 16, you're hanging around with your friends. You got a car now, you're cruising around. How long do you continue to work at the grocery store?
Jesus, another 20 years.
Another 20 years. Now you start managing, I
Yes,
imagine, right?
Yes, worked my way up through all the departments except for produce and meat department. But I was a manager of every other department in the store.
Okay. So you're still in Manhattan or still in Brooklyn? Still in
yes.
Brooklyn. You're, let's say 30, 35 years old.
At that time, yeah.
You are not in real estate at all at this point.
I had owned a house, but I wasn't in real estate, so to speak. I wasn't an active investor. It was something I wanted to do. I knew I was going to be in real estate. I knew it from day one that I was going to be in real estate.
Like when you were 16?
Oh, absolutely.
What were you telling yourself?
I didn't know what it meant to be a real estate investor, but I knew I was going to own real estate. I knew that was going to be my claim to fame, owning real estate. And at maybe 17, 18 years old, I bought my first house. Yeah, I bought it from my mother, but I bought it.
Right.
I bought it for what she paid for it. And that wound up being a home run.
Yeah, I remember you actually told me this deal. You bought it for
14,000.
Yep. You sold it for 1.6.
Yes.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Did you roll that money into other things?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to there.
Yep.
So you're 35, 36 years old. You bought that property at what age? The 14,000.
That had to be about 18 years old.
Okay, 18 years old. When did you end up selling that thing?
18 years ago.
18 years ago. So you sold it 22 years after you bought it. So in 22
Roughly.
years, your investment basically it's like a 7,000% return.
Ain't that something?
Holy moly.
This is what real estate can do for you. Doesn't do it for everyone, but it can do it.
Okay, so you knew, watching that going up and up and up, that house that you owned when you were 18, as you were working at the supermarket, you're watching this property go up in value. You're like, I got to get more of these things. When was the first time you're like, I got to make something happen? I got to get into real estate. Was it forced upon you? Was there an opportunity that presented itself? Or did you go to a seminar and learn this stuff? Like, how did you make your leap?
Originally, I went to, probably around 18 years old, I went to a Carlton Sheets seminar.
Shout out Carlton Sheets. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Carlton Sheets. What's funny, I was just texting him a year and a half ago before he passed away. You know he passed away?
Yes, I do.
And I was texting him, and he said, the torch has been passed to you. And he kind of knew he was going to, and his life was going to be ending. What an amazing guy that guy was.
He would do the stage thing and sell his cassettes.
Yes. It was a lot of the no down payment stuff.
Yes, no down payment.
Yeah.
And I did write a little something about that in my book that's coming out, but not to plug the book now.
Oh, I love the book. The book is amazing. The first book that you're coming out with is Should Have Listened.
Should Have Listened, yes.
And then you have a follow-up book. You're not done with that book yet, right?
No, I'm not.
And that book is?
Now What?
Now What? Okay, so Should Have Listened. I think it's one of the greatest titles of a book. That book, you're going to be on Amazon, I imagine?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We'll put a link in the description down below for you guys to hear his book. So you go to Carlton Sheets. Did you do anything with that at the time?
I tried.
Okay.
And the biggest pushback I got was, you don't want to get in real estate. everybody wanted to tell me the same thing. Nah, that's not the business for you. You don't need to be in real estate. You don't make any money in real estate. This is what people would tell you. And I would go to people who owned houses around the neighborhood, and they would all tell me the same thing. Me, I would have to say their mindset then was they wanted everything for themselves.
Oh, wow. They were trying to keep you out of the business.
Yes.
So that they didn't have more competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there was a building that I looked at, and it was, I want to say 49 units, 690,000 or something like that, and couldn't raise the money because
You had no track history.
Nobody was.
Didn't have the right connections. I mean, hell, the people you're talking to on a daily basis are telling you to stay out of the game.
Stay away from it.
Right? So that was your Rolodex at the time.
Yes. And then I remember even mentioning it to my father at the time, who had an apartment building in the Bronx. And he said, well, go stand in front of the building. He said, describe it to me. I described it. He said, 100 years old, you wouldn't know what you're doing. So that was it. He killed that dream. But even then, we're still working in the grocery stores. I remember there was one person, Dave, that said to me, he says, Paul, one day, you're gonna be a manager of one of these stores. I says, no, one day I'm gonna be in real estate. As a matter of fact, the funny part of this story is, I said, one day they're going to call me Paulie Trump.
Oh, I like that.
And
I mean, at the time, Trump was like a superhero in New York.
Absolutely.
Like he's not the clown that he is today. He was just dynamic, just an absolute bad. And everybody in New York wanted to become Trump.
Yes, everybody loved him in New York. He was like New York royalty.
Because he was developing, he was changing the face of the city. He was doing amazing stuff.
I bump into him on a Disney cruise years ago, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. And he comes over, he hits me in the back. He says, wow, I can't believe this is you. Paul, how you been? Blah, blah, blah. So do I call you Paulie Trump? I says, yes, you do.
Yes. That's so good.
Yeah, so
this is the guy that thought the best thing that you should be doing with your life, Paul, is to become a manager of this grocery store.
Yes.
And he ends up coming in and seeing you on a cruise just randomly. And you were able to say, yeah,
that's right.
Here's what I've accomplished. Amazing.
Yeah, pretty wild.
The tough thing there too is you've got your dad who was also in real estate at the time. He kind of probably accidental to a certain degree. Like he bought something because he just thought he should buy something. But even he's not really encouraging you. It didn't seem like it. It didn't seem like he was saying, Paul, you're going to figure this out. Here's what you do. Nobody was really giving you the steps or the encouragement to get to the next step.
I would ask him to teach me. No, he wanted me to have nothing to do with the business.
Was it because he was having a hard time in the business?
Yes. He had a building in the Bronx, and the Bronx was rough, especially where his building was, man. It was a tough spot. Even today, it's not so much that it's a tough spot, but collecting the rent in the Bronx is still a tough market to be in. But it was a volatile market, and he didn't want me anything near real estate or those buildings. But then he sold the buildings, and he had two buildings. He sold them, and he bought one property in the Hudson Valley, 70 units with 49 empties, and he didn't know it at the time, and that was a big problem.
He paid this off in cash.
Yes.
So he's got a 70-unit deal, 42 units are empty.
Yeah. No, 49.
49
empties.
Was it because he couldn't find tenants? Like what was going on? Or did they all need to be renovated?
They needed work, but not complete renovations. They needed love.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of love would straighten them out. His problem was that in New York City, if I may, there's 10 asses for every seat. In the Hudson Valley, there's 10 seats for every ass.
Oh.
So now what? Now you have to be that special chair that people want to come and sit in. And he wasn't that chair.
It's a little bit more competitive in the sense of I need to attract people to this property. In the city, you've got probably a waiting list to get into a building.
Yes.
Up in the Hudson Valley, you don't have a waiting list. You have to attract the individual.
Yes.
Okay. So your dad wasn't doing any of that.
No.
So what did he do? I know the story, but he ended up getting you involved, right?
My brother and I, yes.
Okay. And how was that structured, and what did that look like? What was your first couple of steps?
My first couple of steps was go and look at the apartments and see what the problem was. Because if you can't attract a person to come and live there, what's the reason why?
Right.
So I go and look at the apartments, and then I said to him, we have to renovate this whole place. He didn't have the money, but we borrowed. We were able to.
Okay.
And we wound up getting it done, doing the work, changing the facades, doing everything we needed to do.
Were you contracting it out, or were you doing a lot of the work yourself?
We did some of the work ourselves, but a lot of it I was the GC for.
Got it. So you were subbing out, you were bringing the people on. When you borrowed money, did you borrow money from a family member, like just like a private money lender, or did you guys go get a refinance and pull money out of a bank?
Family.
Family. Okay.
Yeah.
So he had it paid off free and clear, which they had a lot of, obviously they had a lot of security in the deal. Do you remember what it cost you at the time to renovate this property?
$1.1 million.
1.1 million. Okay. So you go and borrow $1.1 million from family members, private money lenders, essentially, or FMLs, family members, family member lenders. You go get $1.1 million. You go do the work. You're the GC. You get these units up and going. I would imagine this probably took a good year to a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Year and a half. And you were able to get them leased up. And at the time, what year would you say this is?
20 years ago.
20 years ago. So we're like 2004, 2005 timeframe.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so these are all leased up. Do you guys still own this property?
Yes, we do.
I freaking love that. Freaking love that. What would you say the property is worth now?
Probably 18 million.
Oh my gosh. What did your dad buy it for?
4.
Wow. Okay, so 18 million bucks. You've kept the property. Is your dad still around?
No.
How did you structure that deal? Did you buy the deal from him, or did he remain a partner on the deal for a
We
while?
bought it from him.
You bought
After the renovations were done,
Okay.
Originally what had happened was he asked my brother and I to come in and run the property.
Okay.
I started then going through the property, reviewing things, seeing what needed to be done. Believe it or not, being in the supermarkets taught me so much about business. So now it's a no-brainer, understanding percentages, markups, things like that. What does it take? What does that apartment cost you? And what does it make you? And once you start thinking of it that way as a business, it becomes easier to understand.
Yeah, I see a lot of people that kind of despise their 9-to-5 jobs, and they'll say, I hate my job. Meanwhile, a guy like you, who's really, really smart, you're sitting there acquiring skills through those 20 years you worked at the supermarket that ultimately compounded into the skills you needed to turn around a big, massive multi-unit deal. Other people are like, I want to quit my job. I'm like, guys, learn the skills of how a business is operating before you go and quit. Like the good thing is you busted your to get those skills. You knew how to track.
Mm-hmm.
You knew when a contractor was giving you a bid. You knew when you were getting screwed and when you weren't being screwed. You knew how to balance the checkbook. You knew how to organize and structure the flow of something because you were doing that with a grocery store. I mean, that's like an ant farm almost, like all these ins and outs and people coming in and you're ordering things and filling the shelf. I would even argue, maybe I'm wrong, I would argue maybe a grocery store is probably harder to run than a multifamily unit.
By a lot.
See, this is interesting because so many people are like, oh, doing multifamily is way harder. I'm like, your job that you're in right now is harder than what you currently do for a living.
Absolutely. I mean, you have an apartment, this one, for example, 70 units. You have a supermarket with 7 aisles and 10,000 items that you have to track.
And thousands of clients that are coming through.
Yeah, keep track of the customer count. How many people are walking through the doors a day?
You also have to worry about people stealing from you at the cashiers and doing all the things and clients coming in and putting things in their pockets. Like I'm seeing right now, Home Depots and some other locations closing down because they have so much theft going on.
Yep.
Running a store like that was way more challenging than what you and your brother went in and did and turned the 70 unit deal around. So you're at 18 months in, you get it all leased up. Do you then go and do a refinance and pay your dad out?
Yeah, but the funny thing about that was 2007 happens.
Oh my word. I was just thinking about the timeline of this. So your dad essentially seller finances the deal to you. And you then bring in private money lenders on the other side. So you're kind of in this deal, no money out of pocket, which is great.
Yes.
And your dad, did he give you a strike price? Like, here's my price I want when you guys go refinance it? Or was that not the original way you structured it?
He wanted his money back.
Just his money back. He's like, I want to forget about this headache.
Mm-hmm.
He was a tired landlord.
Yeah.
He says, I'm not equipped to do this. You guys go do this. Let me give this to my boys. Which is kind of cool for your dad, like as a legacy, creating a legacy, like he helped compound your dad did a good job.
He did.
Helping, his sons. You guys stepped in and did something he wasn't able to do. Was this really challenging? Did you have to go and ask people for help along the way? Or did you guys kind of inherently at that point in your life know what you needed to do?
I knew what I needed to do.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it just became a matter of making the connections along the way.
Okay.
Because you know nothing.
Right. Especially construction, right?
Yeah.
Your contractors and who is the right electrician and who's the right painter and all that kind of stuff. You probably had some contractors screw you a little bit on the property.
Always.
Yeah, always. Okay, so you then hit 2007 on this unit. You're not going to refinance at that time. I mean, there's no money. The banks are like, we're not giving money out.
The banks weren't giving us anything.
Right.
Finally, maybe 2008, I found a lender
Okay.
who would give us money. And now you're buying properties for pennies on a dollar.
Right.
So now I have a little bit of skill under my belt. And that was it. You know, we were just off to the races. I'm again, back to supermarkets teaching me what I knew. I'm able to look at properties. And
Right.
I'm able to understand, is this property making me money? And back then, there was no cap rate or anything like that.
Nobody was talking about
buying
cap rate,
properties, GRM,
Yeah.
gross rent multiplier. And that is the way I buy property today. Same way, nothing has changed.
You and I are very similar. I think people are overhyped on the cap rate stuff, you know, and GRM is great. I love that. And that's the way you learned it. The lender that ended up giving you a little bit of money, do you still have a relationship with that lender? No. Why not?
They're no longer around.
They sold out to somebody else or whatever.
It was a bank called Amalgamated.
Got it. It's
No.
because nobody could spell the bank name. That's
No.
the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys, step number one, don't name a bank Amalgamated. You know what I'm saying? Like, name it Bank One or something like that. Paul's Bank. That's what you name it.
Corner Bank.
So they're gone. Did you start building relationships with banks over the years that you now have been using for 10 plus years?
I built a relationship with a broker.
A broker. Okay, great.
Yes. Through him, we've built relationships with the banks, but I always used a broker.
Tell me why. Tell the audience why you would use a broker over going direct to a bank. I think there's new people that are watching this and going, wait, what is a loan broker versus just me going to a bank? Like, why do I need a loan broker and what value do they bring to the table?
Well, the loan broker is going to know what bank is got what program going on. Okay. Who's more eager to push proceeds? Who's going to be more conservative? And then he allows you to build a relationship with that bank. What bank is giving you better rates?
Right.
And their program, who's offering the best program?
Because like a program would be, hey, we'll give you 80% LTV. You know, you give me 20% down plus we'll give you a loan for renovation. Some banks will do that. Other banks won't do that. So there's different programs depending on the bank, right?
Well, yes, but a lot of what I look for in there is going to be prepayment penalties because I want to know if I want to chop this thing a little bit shorter, they're going to work with me.
Right.
And then what's the rate? What's the reset? Now I have banks that I could negotiate anything I want in there, you know, within reason.
Because you built a relationship.
Right.
So you can go, hey, I know you guys have this loan program going on now. It's 2024, but guys, can you adjust this? Can you fix this? Can you do that? You have that relationship. And you also understand what you want. So you can go and articulate that to the bank.
Right. Now, I don't know do you have what we call in New York a SEMA?
I don't know.
Okay. So in Arizona, maybe you don't have it. We have.
Is that like a breathing disease or something?
No, it's chain of custody of that mortgage.
No.
Okay. What some banks in New York will do, they won't give you that SEMA. So now that's a bargaining position at the end for the bank, at the end of the loan. And essentially what that does is it gives you chain of custody for that mortgage. So you're not paying tax on all the money. You're only paying mortgage tax on the new money.
Okay.
So if you got a $5 million loan and then you refi it and take out $6 million, you're not paying mortgage tax on the $6 million. You're only paying mortgage tax on the $1 million.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is a big plus.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So that chain of custody is important. Not every state does it, but I know New York does it for sure. So this is something you want.
I've never even heard of it.
Okay. This is something you definitely want in your corner.
We were just talking about right before we started recording that there's so many things I learn every single day in real estate. It's just never ending.
Yeah.
So you want the SEMA.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
You want it.
And some banks won't give it to you because they want control of it?
Some banks conveniently leave it out of their commitment.
Okay, got it.
Or out of the loan docs. And it's up to you and your attorney, or at this point, your attorney, to make sure that it's in there. Because if you don't refi with the bank, now they don't give you that SEMA, you go to another bank, you're paying tax on all the money.
They want you to do the refinance in-house.
Yes, sir.
That's what they want. They want to keep your business in-house. That makes sense. Okay, so and they just conveniently leave it out because they're assuming that you're not going to ask, but you're obviously been in the business for a long time. You have a great attorney. Your attorney's like, yo, bank,
SEMA.
Paul's smarter than this, guys. Give me the SEMA. Got it.
You know, and here's that's one of the things that most new investors don't know. And unless you have a transactional real estate attorney, they don't know it either.
Yeah.
There are so many things that you can put into the mortgage docs
Yeah.
to benefit you later or present. You know, it doesn't matter. Even as far as resetting a loan. Loan is due in 5 years. What do? Do you go out or do you just pass it over? Now, when you pass it over, do you have to get another appraisal?
Mm.
Do you need to do another phase one? You know, these are things that if you don't know to have them removed.
You didn't know this stuff when your guys' first 70 unit.
No.
So you had to learn it on your next deal, your next
Yes.
deal. So you probably got kicked in the teeth a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. Along the way, you and your brother have obviously stayed partners.
Yes, to this day.
Okay. And it seems like it's worked out magically.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother brings something to the table that you don't, and vice versa, right? You guys bring different skills to the table.
Yes. My brother has, his particular skill is dealing with tenants. He deals with the tenants. He collects the rents. So he follows that with a fine-tooth comb, goes over everything.
Okay. And he's working in the office with your daughters as well, right?
No, he's in a different office.
He's in a different office.
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, he's not physically collecting these rents. This is all online at this
he's
point,
just,
right?
He just
He's
keeps
tracking
track.
it.
You're right.
And he'll call you because
Yes.
you guys manage your properties, which are,
Right.
you guys have a lot of properties.
Yes.
You're managing your properties in-house. Why?
Why give that money to someone else?
Is managing that many properties not a big pain in the butt?
Of course it is. But what are you going to do? Give up and just give it away? And now what? Give the money you were making, take a pay cut to give to somebody else, add another expense?
I agree with you, especially when there's a lot of advantages to this strategy that you have. The strategy you have is you go, I'm managing everything myself. I'm going to buy in a very specific area. You're not just buying in Florida and North Carolina and
Right.
you're all over the place, which you would require you to have property management. Not require you, but it'd be a lot of a bigger problem, right? But your properties are all within an hour of each other?
Yes.
Okay. So that's how you can do that. You have properties within an hour of each other. Do you guys have full-time handymen on staff or any of that?
Every property has a super. And then we have floating supers.
And do they live on site?
Yes.
What's a floating super?
He goes around when a job is too big. When you have a big project at a particular apartment or property, the floating super will go there and handle it.
Okay, got it. So these guys are living on site. They're getting reduced rent plus a salary?
Plus a salary.
And they're tinkering around on these properties every single day.
Every day.
And they're talking to the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically the generals in your brother's army.
Yes.
And so they're boots on the ground. They're running all of these properties. Are there any significant problems that you have with those supers in terms of they can't do certain things? You have to hire things out, those types of things? Or is everything done in-house?
Depending on the municipality.
Got it. Because they don't want you to go and do your own electrical work.
Right.
They say you got to go hire that out. That should be an
Right.
an electrician, probably a plumber, maybe something structural. If there's a wall that's being removed or repaired, they probably want you to get a structural engineer. Obviously, your super is not a structural engineer.
No, they can't do that.
So they can't do that.
Day-to-day activities, little repairs, maintenance, blockages, things like that. Depending on the municipality will determine whether they can hang a fixture, change a light, a socket, something like that. But they can do it all. Certain municipalities don't allow it. You need a permit. That's why it's also very important to do your homework before you buy.
Yeah, I had somebody DM me the other day. They said, "Hey, Pace, I've got this property in Nashville. What advice do you have for me? I ran out of money on the project that it's a fix and flip. I bought it, hard money, renovation costs, private money. I ran out of capital. I'm like, okay, well, what am I missing? Were you over budget?" And they're like, "No, well, what happened was the city came in and shut us down." What happened? Well, we thought we could do all the electrical, the framing, the this, that, and the other, all with our handyman. And the neighbors saw us bringing in a big beam with 14 guys hauling into the house. I'm like, you're asking me for advice about this right now? Like you knew what you were doing was wrong. And she said, "No, I had no idea." Okay, I don't know if that's true or not, but the reality is every municipality, I would imagine nationwide, is going to require you to use a licensed electrician when you're doing electrical work. Unless it's switching out a socket,
Right.
Have a handyman do that. But when you're running wire or you're changing out the panel, right? You're changing out fuses and all that kind of stuff.
every municipality is going to require you to do that.
And not for nothing,
Yeah.
you should. If you're working in the panel, if you're changing out a
Yeah.
panel, like say you're changing a panel from fuses to breakers,
Right.
you men shouldn't be doing that. You should hire an electrician to do that.
Because imagine if there's a fire,
yes,
then you have a claim, somebody dies, hypothetically, for heaven forbid, and it comes out that you used a handyman to fix the electrical panel.
speaking of that,
Yeah.
then what? Now you face a manslaughter charge.
Right.
That's even worse.
Right. Because you want to save $400 on a permit.
Exactly. So there are certain things you have to give out to the professionals. Not that my supers aren't professional supers.
Mhm.
They're just not electricians. They're just not plumbers.
Mm.
You know.
Okay, so you and your brother, obviously the dynamic has worked out really well. Other people are not as lucky as that. It sounds like you guys balance each other out really, really well. He brings things to the table that you don't, and vice versa. After the 70 unit deal, what was this? Did you guys sit down and go, man, we can do this? Let's go acquire more. Let's go and do more. Or did it take you a while to start warming up to building the portfolio?
I knew from day one. He was young. He was 20 years old.
Okay, got it.
So he didn't know about what direction to go in. It was me that was just, to use an expression from my father, full of piss and vinegar. I just wanted to go, 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 go. And I did. So right after that refi, paid back the lenders
Yep.
and bought another 75 unit complex.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when you did the refinance, you paid back your 1.1 million plus their return.
Mhm.
Obviously, you got your father paid back. How much money did you have to leverage into another deal?
It was two.
Oh my gosh, real estate's the coolest
Mhm.
freaking thing ever. And this is tax-free money.
Yes.
So you got $2 million to go leverage into another deal. You go buy a 75 unit deal.
Well, it's a 70 apartments, 5 garages. So when I speak about units, anything that's bringing me rent is a unit.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm the same way. Like my RV pads at my RV parks, that's a pad. It's not an
Right.
actual house and it brings in income.
But it's a unit.
It's a unit, yeah.
Yeah. It's a unit of rent.
Okay, so you've got 70 units plus 5 garages bringing in income on that property. How did you start finding properties? I know the answer, but everybody else is like, how is he? Okay, he got his first deal from his father, did it seller finance, no money down, brought in a private money lender, love it. Great deal. Your next deal, you've got $2 million from compounding in. How are you now finding this next deal?
My father had a broker actually from Jersey who sold his building in the Bronx and then sold him the building that was the 70 units for 49 empties.
Got it.
So she came to us with another deal who happened to be a woman right across from our office who owned another management company. And that was a building we paid $5.1 million for.
Okay, so you had the $2 million to put down.
Mm-hmm.
You went and got a loan for the remaining 3.1
Right.
plus costs and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. Did that property need to be renovated and turned over? It was already cash flowing.
Yes, it was going good.
So day one, it was already cash flowing.
It just had a bad reputation.
Got it. And it had a bad reputation because the prior owner was not managing it properly?
No, because it was a shooting on site.
Got it. Was that the motivation for her to sell the property? Like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. This is over my head.
I don't know. I don't know what her motivation was. And quite honestly, for me, it didn't matter. I didn't care. I was getting a good property at a decent price.
Yeah, this is where you and I are similar in a lot of our philosophy. One of the things I'm addicted to that you don't care about is love knowing why somebody sold the property. For you, you're like, I don't care. I just want, is it making money?
Yeah, that's it.
Which is it. I love it. And I love that. Different strokes, different folks,
Yes.
right? So broker brings you the deal, 5.1 million. You put the $2 million into the deal. You guys take this thing over. At this time, did you have online reputation type of stuff? Like, was internet here or not yet? Okay, so you had to kind of change the vibe of this building inside the neighborhood ultimately. Yes. Okay, got it. You now have a property. This one's cash flowing. What year would you say this is? 2010, 2012?
24. Let's call it 10.
Okay, 2010. You guys immediately take this over. This is close enough to your other 70 unit. Now you've got, between the two, you've got 145 units.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were managing this, you and your brother, no other help?
No, just us.
No bookkeeper?
No, just us.
Holy hell.
Yeah, just us.
Who was doing the bookkeeping? You?
My brother was writing the checks, but I was deciding which bills to pay.
And where were you officing out of?
At that point, now an actual office.
Okay, at that point, you guys got an
Yes.
office. Okay, you had enough cash flow that you could have some overhead costs and whatever else. A lot of people starting in the business, they have this glamorized version of what this all looks like, where here you are, your first 70 units, you didn't have an office.
No,
You didn't have some fancy high rise. You were working out of your house.
working out of my father's house.
Okay, got it. And you weren't married at this time.
Yes.
Oh, you were married at this time
Yes.
to your now wife.
Yes.
So you remember him going through all this stuff. Wow. So she watched you going to the property, fixing things all over.
Yes.
Did she think you were a lunatic for doing this, or she knew this was your dream?
She knew it was happening. She knew it was happening. And one thing about my wife, she's with me through thick and thin.
So she watched this go on. She watched you guys sell the property, compound into the next one. Were you guys cheering, going on, we made it? When you hit 145 units in your portfolio, you were like, we made it, we're done.
No,
What was the mindset at that point?
we keep pushing. Keep pushing it. The office was in the house. And I said, we can't run a business from the house. We need an office. This is not a business until it has an office. We're out of the house. I found an office, small office, 2 little spaces.
Yeah.
And that was it, and then from there, we just treated a business like a business. You don't treat a business from the house like a business.
You don't. It's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So what's your first hire?
Well, supers.
Super. Okay. So you hired supers before you hired bookkeepers. You guys were doing all the
Yeah.
bookkeeping, the clerical stuff, the admin stuff. You were handling all that yourself. You then hire supers to manage both properties. So you have one super at one property, another super at another.
Right.
Your brother immediately knew he was the guy to manage both of those guys, or did you guys have to go through some learning experiences?
No, that was all me.
Okay. That was you.
Yes. I take care of everything in the field.
Even still today.
Oh, even to this day.
Got it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So the supers will text you. They'll say, hey, I've got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
They're not texting your daughters that work in the office. None of that.
No, but that will start.
Interesting. All right. Well, once she gets her college degree or
Nope.
sooner?
As soon as I get home from Arizona.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. Okay. So you start doing this, you have the supers. What was the first in-office person that you guys ended up hiring, and where was that in your journey?
That took a little longer. Then we added another property.
Okay.
That was another 64 units.
Close by.
Yes. Yes. All of our properties are condensed. They're all near each other. So then that 64 units, we decided we needed an office person just to even deal with the calls.
Mostly from the tenants.
Yes.
Okay.
And we wound up having a bookkeeper then twice a week.
Okay.
And she was with us for a while. And then she got sick, so she had to leave. We wound up then hiring another bookkeeper and going through bookkeepers. Then we had one that was with us for about 14 years.
She's still with you?
No, she left.
Okay.
Yeah. But, during that process, you just continue to grow.
Right.
We never stopped looking for properties.
And most of this is coming from brokers.
Yes. And we still only have 2 people working in the office.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's smart, right? You're not hemorrhaging money on management. A lot of people are paying anywhere between 7% to 12% management. When you have that many units, hundreds of units, I mean, you're saving you guys yourself like $100,000+ a month in management.
But that's not even, we also are third-party managers.
Oh my gosh, that's so smart. I didn't even think about this. So you guys are managing other people's properties as well.
Yes. And I'm a New York State court-appointed a manager.
What does that mean?
That means I'm a fiduciary. I would if a property gets into trouble with the bank,
Okay.
and the bank is foreclosing, it goes into receivership.
The
The receiver then has to hire a manager.
You're the guy.
I'm the manager.
Wow. How much money can you make from that? Can you make more money from managing other people's properties than you can from managing or from having your own ownership in properties?
Owning your properties is the way to make the money.
Okay, but that's just extra. Like we already have a system, we have processes, we have teams, supers, we have floating supers. Why the heck would we not be managing other people's properties?
That's just the next step. It makes sense. But there's so much more to keep up with. There's so much more back office when you're managing third party.
Yeah, because they have maybe ways they want to do it
Right.
differently than you guys. Maybe you're probably whipping them into shape a little bit, going, hey guys, we got to report this way. We got to collect this way.
Right.
You should be doing it the way we do it. but you're still dealing with other people's personalities.
Well, that's it. The personality is the big change there, because now you have each owner has his or her own way
Yeah.
of managing their property. And the problem with that is typically an owner comes to us because they're in trouble.
Mm.
So
They tried to manage it themselves.
right.
They failed.
Right.
They go, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose the property. I'm hemorrhaging money. Save me.
Right. But now they come to you with the same attitude that they had when they were running the property, because they don't understand it was them that was failing the property.
They blame the
wasn't-
tenants.
The property wasn't failing them. They were failing the property.
Right.
It was poor management.
So you guys have built a reputation in your town
Yes.
that you're the people to come to.
Yes.
From being the property management company also in town, have you gotten opportunities to buy properties from owners that just go, you know what? I'm just done. I don't, you know what? You guys are managing it. Just buy it from me. Have you had that yet?
We would always take over a property. We have never bought a property from a client.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. We've never done that. But we could if we wanted to. You know, if a seller wanted to sell a property, we would entertain it.
I guess the challenge is you guys are good at management, so you fix the property to the point where they don't want to sell.
And to the point where it's unaffordable.
Got it. Yeah. So you guys raise the rents, you get the things going, you love the property, it's cash flowing, and now the value of it's way more than what you would want to pay for it.
Right. And to be completely transparent, we have stepped away from a lot of the third party management.
And why is that? You just want to focus more on purchasing your own?
We just want to focus on our own properties, purchasing, growing, because now we're going to leave, thinking about leaving New York and starting to invest in other states.
Interesting. Why is that?
New York is just becoming too hard to manage in.
Tenant landlord laws.
Yes.
Got it. You're getting to the point where tenants, if they're not paying, evictions are challenging and that type of stuff?
Oh my God. Since COVID, evictions are a joke. Now, where we are in the Valley, evictions used to go relatively smooth. Not anymore. Now, where you can get an eviction, somebody out of an apartment in 2 months, now you're still 6, 7 months later, you're still fighting.
Yeah, we're 30 days here, 40 days here. And, you know, we have to get an eviction attorney involved every once in a while. But for the most part, we just go to the tenant and go, hey, we'll give you $1,000. You leave right now. Otherwise, we're going to have this, constable's going to come and pull you out of the house type of thing. They have 40 days.
Yeah, they want more than $1,000 too.
Yeah, they understand the leverage they have, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like what's going on in LA right now, where there's rent control, and then also you have to buy your tenants out of their. So instead of releasing with them, their tenants are getting an average of like $40,000 to just get bought out at the end of the lease. The lease is over, and you have to buy your tenant out to leave the property. This is LA County, and it's starting to kind of expand outside of LA County. I'm like, I don't want to be around that. It's ridiculous. That's interesting. You guys have been in the business now. See, 2007. You've been in the business 20, almost 17, 18 years.
Couple of decades. I've been involved and investing in real estate.
Right. So a couple of decades, and you look at this and you go, I'm now at a point where New York is becoming too problematic for me. You're not planning on selling your properties.
No.
You're just planning on saying, if we're gonna do another refinance and we're gonna get some cash, we'd rather deploy it maybe North Carolina and South Carolina, where tenant laws are a little bit more, weighed evenly. Have you guys looked at a state that you would go into right now?
There's a couple of states. I mean, my brother no longer lives in New York either.
That's right. He lives in Georgia.
Yes.
Which is, in my personal opinion, I love Georgia.
Yeah.
A lot.
So he's out. He does come back and forth to the office. He does come once a month, but it's one of those things where I don't know if I necessarily want to invest in Georgia, but I'm open to any state except a few.
Yep.
And we all know what those few states are.
Right.
But I would look in Georgia. I'm looking at a piece in West Virginia.
I love West Virginia. Great area.
It's a good state.
Awesome landlord laws.
Yeah. So there's something I may be going down there to take a look at in the next couple of weeks.
And it's super affordable. West Virginia is affordable, at least from a rent purchase ratio versus like New York City, right? I imagine you'd get a better yield going to West Virginia.
Funny thing about New York City's in a bad way as far as real estate goes.
In what way? Meaning there's a lot of vacancies?
No, values are plummeting. Okay? people are so afraid to invest in New York. I've been investing in New York my whole life. So it's not something that I'm afraid of. It's just something I'm tired of.
Right.
But as far as getting a deal now, New York City, you're getting properties that are reducing in price by half.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Landlords are like, we just want to get
Where
out.
they want out. Properties, here, for example,
What is going to happen in New York?
for example, you could have bought a property in New York at a 3 cap, which would have been a normal normal number.
Right.
However, you can now buy that same property that somebody bought for a 3 cap at a 6 or 7 cap in just a matter of a few years.
Wow.
That's a problem. And what's really killing sellers throughout the New York market is pride. They feel they can't sell. They can't take that haircut. My property's worth what it's worth.
Yeah.
And they can't sell.
So they're
Lose
sticking
the
it
pride,
through.
Sell the property because you're going to get hurt.
Right. It's not going to get better.
No.
It's going to get worse way before it gets better. I mean, New York has got to come to an awakening. It's kind of like what's going on with the immigrant crisis. I'm all about immigration. Love it.
Absolutely right.
And I know you are too.
Yes.
You're an immigrant. Your wife is an immigrant. Your family, right?
Yes,
First
yes.
generation. You look at it and you're like, amazing. Love it. Come on in. But you look at what happened with New York. They're taking your property tax dollars and then they're just giving debit cards to people that are coming into your state. Where are those people going to live? First and foremost, right? You've got a little bit more homelessness going on. You've got just craziness going on. Landlords are not able to kick people out of their properties. And you now are starting to see people looting and doing all sorts of stuff. They're not going after people that are looting.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck is going to happen? Now, we don't need to have this whole conversation, but it makes sense why you would want to invest outside of the state and start looking for other places. So you go to another state. How is Paul going to find a deal in another state? What's your way of doing that?
Well, I have to learn about that particular market.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll check. I'll check online like everybody else. Reach out to brokers.
And what are you asking these brokers when you reach out?
I'm testing them. So I'd ask them the simple question: what are the markets like? What's going on in the market? What are you seeing change? Which I already know. I've done my research.
Right.
Then I'll ask questions like, what do you see coming? Is there what's coming to that particular environment? You know, are they building a stadium? Is there a hospital? What's the big provider? Is there big healthcare in the area? What is there? These are the things I want to know because I want to know how many people are looking for apartments. And is it transient? Is it a transient market? What are the
like a North
demographics?
Dakota? Like North Dakota for a while, oil prices were sky high. So they had temporary workers coming in.
Mm-hmm.
They're over there building housing like crazy. And then all of a sudden prices of oil go down. These towns, you know, they last for 2 years or whatever based on the price of oil. Could be the same thing. Maybe they're building a microchip factory and they bring in all these construction workers for 2 years and then they leave. So you're looking at that and you're saying, are these temporary workers that are coming in or are they permanent people? So you're doing the research on all of those types of things because that's important for somebody like you that's like, I want sticky clients. I want them to stick to my apartment. I don't want to have turnover every single year on every single unit.
People don't get that. People think the second you get somebody out, oh, you're going to get this big increase. You know, it's one thing if they're way below market.
Right.
And you can get that increase. And if they leave, you pick up that increase. However, if you're at fair market, don't believe the pro forma. When you're buying a property, pro forma, I've never seen a pro forma I didn't fall in love with.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I say it all the time. Buyers are liars. Sellers are worse. The sellers will, and the brokers, they'll create these pro formas that are like, you just know you've got to have somebody with a brain going through and with a fine tooth comb, what's missing, what's incorrect, what's inaccurate. And you basically are a detective. You're a deal detective. I've got to find out where the lies are in order for me to really understand the income.
If you think about it, let's say we moved from New York City to the Hudson Valley with real estate.
Yeah.
You had 50 units in a 100 by 100 lot. Now you've got 50 units in a 10-acre property. You never knew to ask. Oh, I got all kinds of landscaping here I have to do. Now I got to start planting new trees. There's an expense that wasn't on the setup.
Right.
Wow. Oh, wait a second. It's got septic and leach fields. What's that?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, how do I maintain that? You don't know. Does it have a well? Is it city water? You don't know. Now, oh, wait a second. I got to bring somebody in to treat the water. I have to test it and send it to the county? Do I need to be licensed for that, or I have to send somebody out for a license? These are things you learn on the fly.
Yeah.
Then you've got the taxes that you never heard of.
Yeah.
Fire tax, garbage tax, huh?
Or they raise property taxes on you.
Property taxes. Well, your property taxes are going up anyway.
Right.
You have to know the second you do a deal, that not the first year, the second year, those
Yeah.
taxes are going to go up
Based on
the
your
new
purchase.
price.
Yeah.
So now what? Was that figured in when you did your underwriting on that deal? Because if it wasn't, you're going to be hurting.
Right.
So if you don't know to ask these things, you're in trouble.
Wow. So your primary thing when you're jumping into a new market going after multifamily is you're building a relationship with a broker. You're going through and filtering them out. You probably talk to 10. 2 of them are really, really good that you want to work with. Maybe you vibe with their personality a little bit more. You find out they have a little bit more experience. Maybe they even have some pocket listings or some sellers that you can start looking at deals off market. Because most really good brokers will have sellers that they haven't listed on the market yet. And they'll go, hey, before we put it on the market, take a look at this. Because they know you're going to perform. So why put it on the market, right? Are you also building a relationship, not just with brokers, but with local banks there? Or are you still using the same loan broker that you have in New York?
If the broker can work there, I'll use him.
Okay.
However, it would behoove me to build a relationship with people there too.
Yeah.
Because what happens if my current broker can't work there?
You have a problem.
Yeah. So,
and a lot of times the real estate broker will know loan brokers in their local area that they've done deals with and that perform, et cetera. So you're doing that already. You're doing reconnaissance essentially for, let's say, West Virginia. You then see an asset that you really like. You're not buying property sight unseen. You're going.
Have to go.
Before you put an LOI on the property, are you getting boots on the ground?
Absolutely. I have to go.
Okay.
I have to go and look at that property. I have to do a thorough inspection because I don't know what to offer unless I see the property.
Are you, let's say, let's take West Virginia for an example. I know that might not be the deal or the market that you're going to end up buying in. You fly out there. Are you hiring an inspector to walk through with you? Are you bringing the broker with you? Who are you bringing with you? Or are you going on your own?
Me and myself.
Okay.
I go with us two. Maybe I bring one of my kids or somebody else who I'm teaching and the broker.
Okay. And you're walking through, what's your mindset when you're going through there? You're looking for things that could never be shown through a photo.
I'm looking for the lies.
Okay.
I'm looking for what are they hiding under the new paint? What's going on here? You know, if it's a, let's say, an older property, you have to know what to look for. You have to look at the facade of the building. What's happening here? Is it got a bow in it? Where are these cracks? Is this a facade or is this an actual structure?
Right.
You know, what are we looking at? Is this a brick veneer or a brick, you know, is it a real
actual brick?
building?
Yeah.
Right. So these are things you want to know. And then you look, oh, what's up with the lentils? You know, these are things you have to know to look at, to see where's water getting in behind the bricks, what's popped, why are these bricks going to bow? Am I going to have to change the whole veneer? If, do I need to do pointing? Go up to the roof, look at the roof. What kind of roof is it? Is it a rubber roof? Is it just a black paper roof? What's up with the parapet? Am I going to have to repoint the parapet?
Yeah.
You know, in New York City, they're famous. They're famous for running the rubber roof right up the parapet wall.
Interesting.
Why? Because that thing needed to be pointed. Instead of pointed, they
just covered it. Yep, just cover it up. Classic. Okay, so West Virginia, you go out there, you're looking for the lies. Are you primarily looking for an asset that you need to do value add to, or are you looking for an asset that you go, I don't want to deal with the renovation. I'm willing to pay top dollar for the property. I can just make sure it's cash flowing from day one, but I don't want to have to do this big heavy lift.
I never looked for a property with value add. I looked for a property with upside.
Okay.
With just natural and organic upside. I didn't look for one that I had to go in and start renovating kitchens, renovating bathrooms to recognize that upside and get the rents up.
And why not? Because it seems like a lot of syndicators and people that are putting funds together, that's their primary objective. They want to find something that's kind of undervalued because it needs a renovation. And they go, I'm going to go through the year-long journey of renovating this thing. Is your thought process, I've already done that. I don't want to go through and do that again. I'm already at a point where I'd rather just buy a property that organically, because the population is growing, we're going to get rent increases. And maybe because the property, they hadn't raised the rents in 3 or 4 years, that there's obviously a rent increase that's coming up anyway. You'd rather go that route than a full value add.
Yes, I don't want to. Right off the bat, I know I'm making my money off the purchase price.
Okay.
So whatever they're asking is only a suggestion. I'm going to beat them up. I'm going to get my number.
That's a good t-shirt for you guys to make. Your purchase price or your ask price is just a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they wish they can get.
Yeah.
Can they get it? Not from me.
Yeah.
It's funny, you know, and just to get off real quick, off the subject, in the last 3 months, I've had accepted offers on deals for $1 million below ask. And you're not talking about $20 million deals that can afford that. You're talking about $5 million deals.
You're taking 20% off the purchase.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people are saying yes. I've had clients pick up properties for $1 million, $1.5 million off ask. And, you know, the client always asks the same question. Pace, it's funny. Aren't you afraid you're going to insult them? Insult them? They insulted me by asking so much.
Right.
I don't care if I insult them.
And you also know the game, right? You know the
Yes.
game. They're expecting somebody that's savvy like yourself to come along and go, it's not worth 5 million. It's worth 3.9. The hell are they doing? Meanwhile, they've got dummies. That's their first time in the game going and raising money. And this is what's happening right now.
That's the problem.
A lot of syndicators are getting in trouble right now and will in next year. They went and raised money on short-term loans, you know, little bridge loans. They go syndicate money. They're planning on an exit. They bought the deal at, let's say 3% or whatever it is, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. They now are trying to plan an exit to a REIT or a hedge fund or whatnot. Hedge funds aren't buying at that cap rate anymore. And they're toast. And they're like, I have now, my loan is due. They overpaid and they didn't have a good long-term strategy. What I love about your strategy is you're like, I don't sell. I keep it all.
Yeah, I'm not going to sell and I'm not going to overpay. Period.
Okay, so what's the long-term strategy? Is the long-term, Paul's gone. Your wife is gone. Are your kids running this empire?
Yes.
Okay.
My kids, my niece and my nephew, they're running the business.
Love it. And they want that.
Well, my niece and nephew are very young, so they don't know what they want. But my kids now are in the office and they see the future.
I love it. So they continue to follow along.
Yes.
Well, this is an amazing thing. I think this is a good tip for a lot of people too, is that if you really want to learn the business in and out, I think getting inside of an office like yours, getting a clerical job, whether it's bookkeeping and seeing how the numbers work, the software, seeing all those kind of things, getting a job inside of a multifamily office or a property management company is a really good way to start. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Get in there, see what it takes to run the business, see what the owners go through, see what the managers go through. That's what people don't know.
Yeah.
They see all the glitz, all the glory. They think it's great. Oh, look, they got great cars. They wear nice jewelry, all this stuff. No, you don't know what it takes to get there.
Yeah. What you're seeing is 17 years of grit, 20 years of grit, compounded. You've probably had some horrible war stories, right? So a lot of the war stories, which we haven't covered today, and I purposely didn't cover a lot of the war stories because I think the book that you have coming out called Should Have Listened is primarily around war stories and things that have happened to you, right?
Yes. It's essentially my career in real estate, what it's taught me and how it taught me.
Why did you call it Should Have Listened? I love the title, but is it, man, somebody told me this, I should have listened.
Yes.
Here's somebody told me this on an asset, I shouldn't be doing this, I did the wrong thing. Do you have any examples of things you should have listened to?
Perfect example is, don't buy that property, it's too expensive. I'm going to buy it.
Because you were,
don't buy that property, it's too expensive.
You were full of piss and vinegar. You just wanted another.
Yes.
I always tell people you're horny for a deal.
Yeah.
You stop thinking. You're like a dude. You stop thinking entirely, and all you can think about is a deal, and you'll go buy a bad deal because all you want to do is just get into another and get some more action.
Yeah, but that takes discipline. Real estate is about discipline and patience. If you don't have discipline and you don't have patience, you're going to learn a very hard, expensive lesson. And it can ruin you. It could ruin you and every investor you bring with you.
So you've got some of these stories in that book.
Yes.
Okay. Should Have Listened. When is it coming out?
Should be out in the next week.
No.
Yes, should be out next week.
Okay, so by the time this hits our YouTube channel,
it should be out.
The book will be out, and how can they find it?
Find it either go to my website, paulcarassone.com. There'll be a link there to the site, or just go to the Amazon bookstore.
Love it.
I'll have a link set up that I can get to you as well.
Cool. I'll make sure Eric and the team puts it in the description down below. Best place for people to follow you is _property boss. You know what's funny is you and I were DMing back and forth a couple days ago, and I actually thought it was your team the whole time. And I replied back and I said, hey man, I know this is Paul's team, but I just really, I'm excited for you coming back. And you reply, and you go, no, it's me. I'm actually replying to the DMs. So if somebody has a question, they have a comment, they have a thing, is the best place to go to Instagram DMs?
You can DM me on Instagram. If obviously I can't see all the DMs.
Yeah.
But if I see it or my team sees some sort of a question, they'll bring it to me. They've even brought me questions where we've done videos.
I love it. Okay, very cool. And you guys have currently, you're doing a weekly Zoom call. How can people get on that weekly Zoom call?
Well, we're doing a weekly Discord.
A weekly Discord, okay.
Right. So that just, you can also, like in social media on my Instagram, just DM me mentor, and you get the free invitation and the link.
Okay, guys, head over to Instagram, _property boss on Instagram. Type in the word mentor, and don't type in mentor with an exclamation point or some weird thing. I get that all the time. People are like, I go, hey, DM me the word whatever. And they'll go, whatever, exclamation point. I'm like, it's not going to trigger the robot. You got to trigger the robot. So just mentor, and they'll get the invitation to hang out with you on the Discord.
Yes.
And you're doing that once a week?
Once a week, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Wow. 7 p.m. Eastern, guys. Check them out. Paul, I can't wait for I Should Have Listened to come out.
Thank you, Pace.
Freaking excited. So, guys, go and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Is your guys' YouTube channel also The Property Boss? The Property Boss, _. Love it, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. Go and follow Paul. You'll see him a whole bunch. Him and I will be hanging out. I'll probably come out and hang out in New York. I don't know what we'll do out there. Shoot guns, maybe.
Yeah, well.
Or maybe
no,
not.
Not in New York.
Okay,
you know what? I'll come out here and we'll shoot guns.
We'll shoot guns out here in Montana, and we'll do all the horse riding out here. But over in New York, we'll have some amazing food. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it much.
Appreciate you.